A one, two, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. Yes, indeed. We are back again and we are live on your number one network, Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. Yes, it's just me and Dave today. And Nacy, he's on his way home right now. He'll be with us momentarily, ladies and gentlemen. But let me tell you, it has been a very historic day indeed. Firstly, I went live for 4 hours earlier on over on the backup channel because history was made. The disclosure report finally came out, ladies and gents, and we read all 9 gargantuan, nothing burger filled pages live on YouTube just moments ago. Just moments ago. So, as predicted, yes, and tip of the cap to myself, not that I want to say I told you so, but I told you so. It would be much to do about nothing. And you know what? It was even worse than that. It didn't even live up to my very, very skeptical, low expectations. It didn't even make it that far. What they're wanting is more money, more investment so that they can examine the data more closely. And they can't tell as much. And we've gone from weather balloons in 1947 at Roswell to 2021. And guess what? Weather balloons were back in the report again. Yes, indeed. So if you were waiting for, dare we call it, disclosure, lesson learned. This is the way it goes in the land of disclosure. It's one disappointment after another. And now, if you're new to this kind of material, you'll see why old timers like me are kind of skeptical. We're kind of we've been around a while. We've seen this sort of thing happening before, and it's not hard to predict, ladies and gentlemen. There's definitely a pattern to it. They always fail to deliver. But listen, we're not going to be getting into that today. We're actually going to be talking about prophecy and prophets. Now, Nacy is going to be coming onto the show, and he was talking to me about things like Ezekiel. And I have got a Scottish prophet pulled up for us to begin with today as well. So it's going to be something completely different here on the Kev Baker Show. In fact, it's not even the Kev Baker Show. Wow. It's Freaky Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, a little Freudian slip there. Apologies. It's because I do that much on the Kev Baker Show. Will we forgive me? And of course, over here on, we're on YouTube today as well, ladies and gents, in case you weren't aware of that. But a big shout out to everyone over in the TFR Live /chat over in the Wookiee Cave, where I'm about to head in just a moment to give the few very, very decent individuals in there their much deserved shout out. So if you want a shout out, head on over to the TFR Live chat room right now. You might be listening on TalkStream Live. You might be listening on the Paranormal Radio app. You may be, like I say, on YouTube. But wherever you are, whenever you are, a massive warm welcome to the one show of the week where we like to keep it very, very weird. And it's where we like to ask you, the audience, the viewer, the listener, can you handle the woo? I know, it sounds a bit ridiculous when you first hear it, but can you handle the woo? Because this is where we give it. Oh boy, do we give it. And yes, messages going, things kicking off. It's been one of these days here at KBS Command Center, which is now the Freaky Friday Command Center. It's weird how that works, right? But let me head on over to the Wookiee Cave and give you fine people a quick shout out. So to get there, you go to tfrlive.com/chat. It's totally free. All you need is an email address, and you are in with the likes of me, Sophia, Onslow, Seagraves, Gentle Wolverine, Armand, Paradoxical Anomaly, Daryl Bowles, and Wise Newbie. Yes, indeed. So let me just get a link to this stream and send it out. Give me 2 seconds, folks. And we'll get right back into it. Let's see. Let me get here. Copy link. Here we go. Right now. So there we go. We are just about ready to kick this off, and I'm waiting for, and he is here, I think. Yes, he is. Let me add in the man, the myth, the legend. It is the Megaphone Man. He's arrived. Here we go. We will dial him up right now. Right now, we're going live to Megaphone Land, all the way to Minnesota, and he'll be pleased at me because I was actually. Do you know what I was watching last night? I was watching Prince live from Paisley Park. It was like not like live last night. That'd been a bit weird, right? Because I mean he's like long time dead. But remember Nacy came on and done a full show on Prince, and of course he can sing a little bit like the Prince man himself as well. So wait till I see what he's saying because he's not picking this up. 10 minutes estimated time home. All good in the hood, so let's dive straight into it. It's okay, Nacy. It's okay, Nacy. I will hang up. You're very noisy. Yes. I don't even think he knows he's answered. So we'll hang up on that just now, and we will come over here. We're going to talk about a Scottish prophet to begin with. You know me, being from Scotland, I thought, let's do something completely different. And let's not talk about the more famous ones like Nostradamus, Mother Shipton, the Baba, is it the Baba Yaga? Is that the one? Baba Vanga? What was the name of the one over in Eastern Europe? I think it's Baba Vanga, isn't it? No, we're going to talk about one called the Brahan Seer. Ever heard of that one? Oh, I grew up hearing stories about the Brahan Seer. Wait till you hear all about this, ladies and gents. Excuse me, it says the Brahan Seer, the Scottish Nostradamus. The second sight, more correctly called the two sights, is an ability to see this world and another world at the same time. The second sight has never been regarded as witchcraft in Scotland. It is more seen as a curse. Ah, take patience with the lad, for he has the sight, and it is a terrible affliction. You know, when you think about that, if you had the ability to see into the future, to watch future events playing out in the mind's eye or in a different dimension, however that process takes place, That would be actually a terrible curse, wouldn't it? It's not the kind of things that you want to be privy to be seeing, right? You know, apocalyptic scenes, destruction, violence, chaos, wars, plagues, famines, all that stuff. None of the good stuff, right? So it is a curse. You see, we roll differently in Scotland. It's not witchcraft, it's a curse. According to folklore, the Brahan Seer, Kenneth the Sallow, Coinach Odar, was born Kenneth Mackenzie at Balnakill in the parish of Uig and the island of Lewis, about the beginning of the 17th century. Now, he lived at Loch Ussy near Dingwall, which happens to be the location of Agent Pearlie. Agent Pearlie comes from up that way now. Yes, Dingwall checking in Rossshire, and worked as a labourer on the Brahan estate, seat of the Seaforth chieftains, from somewhere around 1675. Now, according to legend, it was through his mother that Kenneth the Sallow was given the site. At a graveyard one night when ghosts were known to roam the earth, his mother encountered the ghost of a Danish princess on her way back to her grave. In order to allow her to pass back into the grave, Kenneth's mother demanded that the princess should pay a tribute and asked that her son should be given the second sight. The legend goes that later that day, Kenneth found a small stone with a hole in the middle through which he would look and see visions. Some of his prophetic visions that came through in the years following his death include, you see, this dude's got a track record, ladies and gentlemen. He comes with a good batting average, does the Brahan Seer. It says here, the Battle of Culloden, 1745, which he uttered at the site, and his words were recorded. Oh, Dramosi, thy bleak moors shall, ere many generations have passed away, be stained with the blood of the Highlands. Glad am I that I will not see the day, for it will be a fearful period. Heads will be lopped off by the score, and no mercy shall be shown or quarter given on either side. The joining of the lochs in the Great Glen. This was accompanied or accomplished by the construction of the Caledonian Canal in the 19th century. He talked of great black, brideless horses, belching fire and steam, drawing lines of carriages through the glens. More than 200 years later, railways were built through the Highlands. North Sea oil was foretold. A black rain will bring riches to Aberdeen, and Aberdeen is like the centre of the kind of Scottish oil industry. Not what it once was, admittedly, but he's seen it coming. How does that happen? How does that happen? So Coinach Odar, I've probably really butchered that. My mum's probably sitting at home right now, falling off the chair, laughing at me. Spoke of the day when Scotland would once again have its own parliament, if that's what you can call it. This would only come, he said, when men could walk dryshod from England to France. The opening of the Channel Tunnel in 1994 was followed a few years later by the opening of the first Scottish Parliament since 1707. Told you this dude's batting average, it's above normal, right? Streams of fire and water, he said, would run beneath the streets of Inverness and into every house. Gas and water pipes were laid in the 19th century. Pointing to a field far from seashore, loch or river, he said that a ship would anchor there one day. A village with 4 churches will get another spire, said Coinach, and a ship will come from the sky and moor at it. This happened in 1932 when an airship made an emergency landing and was tied up to the spire of the new church. Dang, dude. Come on, listen, whatever you make of it, that's like, wow. The sheep shall eat the men, every Highlander's nightmare. That's like, It's worse than a zombie apocalypse. If the sheep ever turn on the Highlanders, oh man, we're in trouble. That's all Dave's saying. See? During the Highland clearances, families were driven from the Highlands by the landowners, and the land they farmed was given over to the grazing of the sheep. So technically, they were chased out by the men that ate. Not really man-eating sheep, but you get it. At the height of his fame and powers, Odar made his most notorious prediction, which would ultimately cost him his life. Isabella, wife of the Earl of Seaforth, and said to be one of the ugliest women in Scotland until Nicola Sturgeon. Oh, no, sorry. I thought it said that. Asked for his advice. She wanted news of her husband, who was on a visit to Paris, and the Odar reassured her that the Earl was in good health, but refused to elaborate further. This enraged Isabella, who demanded that he tell her everything, or she would have him killed. So the Coinach told her that her husband was with another woman, fairer than herself, and he foretold that the end of the Seaforth line, with the last heir being deaf and dumb. Francis Humberston Mackenzie, deaf and dumb from scarlet fever as a child, inherited the title in 1738. He had 4 children who passed prematurely, and the line came to an end. Isabella was so incensed by this that she had the Coinach seized and thrown headfirst into a barrel of boiling tar. That's a bit extreme, eh? Whilst the legend of the Brahan Seer is well known in folklore, there is no documentation of the Coinach Odar ever existing or ever having existed in the Highlands during the 17th century, but there is in the 16th century. Parliamentary records from 1577 show that 2 writs were issued for the arrest of the principal enchanter, Coinach Odar. This Coinach was reputedly a gypsy who supplied poison to a Catherine Ross, who wished to remove the rivals to her inheritance of her sons. She had already recruited some 26 witches who had failed. The police were called, and records show that while many of the witches were caught and burnt, what happened to the old Brahan Seer remains a mystery. If he was caught, it is likely that he too would have been burnt, which reflects the legend that he was burnt in a spiked tar barrel. There is a slab stone by the lighthouse in Channery Point near Fortrose that is said to mark the spot where he died. The inscription reads, and by the way, this stone's already fallen over twice, right? Bear that in mind. It says, Coinach Ore. That's what my ma's saying. So, Coinach Ore. That's how you pronounce it. But the stone, which you can see here, reads, this stone commemorates the legend of the Coinach Ore, better known as the Brahan Seer. Many of his prophecies were fulfilled, and tradition holds that his untimely death by the burning in tar followed his final prophecy of the doom of the House of Seaforth. Now, this actual stone itself, they say it says here, whatever the truth, the legend is well known and respected today. A Celtic stone, the Eagle Stone, stands in Strathpeffer, Rossshire, and the seer said, mark his words, the seer said that if the stone fell down 3 times, then Loch Ussy would flood the valley below so that ships, ladies and gentlemen, ships could sail to Strathpeffer. The stone has fallen down twice, and it's now set in concrete. Why? Because us Scottish people, we take superstition and curses and hexes and vexes and witchcraft and all that malarkey. We take it seriously, ladies and gentlemen. Are you willing? Are you willing to put the lives of the citizens of Strathpeffer in peril by testing out whether you can let that fall 3 times? Because I can't take that on my conscience. I can't carry that with me. So the wise thing was done. It was set in a concrete that means it will never fall. We must never let it fall. So there you go. There you go. And I remember growing up hearing the stories of the Brahan Seer. And when they were building bridges over the River Ness, there was one where the River Ness, the, the water would turn the colour of blood. Ooga booga. And that would be like, whoa, big apocalyptic things happening. Very, very frightening. All that kind of good stuff. You feel me? So, yeah, that's the Brahan Seer. That's one of our prophets that we're going to take a little look at today. The Scottish Nostradamus. Of course, Nostradamus has to be one of the more infamous ones. They say he predicted the rise of that famous painter during World War II. You know, the little Austrian bloke, little mustache, kind of like had a chip on his shoulder. That guy, bit of a fascist, right? He predicted the rise of him, right? Or he called it Hister instead of the name that it really was. Very, very interesting. I'm just going to see now. Just going to see what's happening over here. If the naysay man. Let's see. He's saying, can we call him? We can try. We can try and get the naysay man now. Let's see, ladies and gents. Let's see if we can get him. Okay, so he's not answering yet. Not answering yet. So listen, I thought it'd be quite interesting to take a little look at some future prophecies, and we can do that now while we're waiting, while we run up towards the first break, and we'll try and get naysay on the other side of the break. That's what we'll try and do. But if I take you to this page here, which is admittedly Wikipedia, but it's kind of sourced some of the upcoming prophecies that maybe we want to keep a little eye on. And I was having a bit of a laugh today. I say a bit of a laugh, but it could be pretty serious if any of it pans out to be anywhere near true. And what I can tell you is true is that astronomers have found there's an object moving into our solar system right now. Now, some say that this is a very, very large comet, one of the largest ever seen. And then there's others who say that this is a miniature planet. Now, it's on a very elliptical type orbit. And it comes in every, they're saying 600,000 years. Okay, now it's due to be, I think it's like, swings its way past the sun in 2031, which is 10 years from now, okay? 10 years from now. And I'll bring up a headline in a moment to show you I'm not just talking out a hole in my head. So do the math, 10 years from now, 2031. And as I showed earlier on today, and I'm tongue-in-cheek, folks, I'm joking, but what if I was to tell you that AOC, one of my favourite politicians in the world, may just be a prophet? Not profit as in money, but profit as in predicting the future. Because remember in 2019, what did AOC tell us? And everyone laughed. She told us that the world was going to end in 12 years. Do you remember that? So 2019, 12 years from then, that's 2031. And now here we are 2 years later and we're being told there's a planet flying into the solar system. And you know when it's going to get right smack bang in the middle of being here? Right smack bang in the middle of AOC's time period. Hey, look, it is what it is. It's a bunch of data points. It's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. So let me find the miniature planet. That one there. Miniature. Hang on. Get this up. Here we go. Just to show this here. A mega comet or a minor planet is approaching on a very eccentric orbit. And then in 2019, we had the world is going to end in 12 years. Now, she was talking about climate change, admittedly, but maybe, just maybe, she didn't realize, and look at her, looking very pretty indeed. Maybe she just didn't realize. She didn't realize that what, in fact, she was picking up on as we encounter the loudest entry to a show ever, anywhere, from any man on this plane or any other. Maybe AOC is actually a far more proficient prophet than she is a politician. Because like I say, her window of time puts us smack bang in the middle of where we need to be for this thing to cause us major problems. But anyway, with that said, Nacy, you're with us, man. You're with us. How you doing, brother?
First of all, if I may humbly bow before the captain, I'm sorry, pity and forgive me. I've had a crazy day, was at the reservation, and got a little blindsided on the way back. So please, I apologize profusely, and thanks for doing what you do so well.
Oh, brother, I'm just glad you could hang out with me here today. It's not the same doing a Freaky Friday myself. It just doesn't have that same buzz about it, dude. And I've already, I was on for 4 hours already today doing the whole UFO report thing. And, well, Kev, just like I warned people, it turned out to be pretty much a lot to do about nothing, man. A lot to do about nothing. So I'm glad that we're able to shift gears and go into the prophecy type stuff, because it's a while since I've looked at any of this kind of good woo, man.
Well, this is the part that's so brilliant about it, because when I talk of my ancestors, they are a prophetic people, whereas they made predictions of what was going to happen in their future, and they're coming to pass. And then as I, look into the Bible is just full of prophetic sharings. And then when you start digging deeper in about all of these other people that are prophesizing the future, some of them are spot on. And I myself, I talk about pattern recognition, being the greatest gift that we are blessed with. And when you recognize the patterns and you pay attention, then you yourself can prophesy or make a prediction or a theory or assumption of what's going to occur. And I am, have been wrong many, many times in the past. And I'm probably going to be wrong until after the break in the future.
That sounds about right, ladies and gents. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Freaky Friday, right here on your number one network, Truth Frequency Radio. There's one thing I have to ask you. Can you handle the woo? We'll be right back. Mr. Nacy! Oh, man. Man, I'm having a good day today. Nacy, I tell you, who cares about the UFO report? I streamed for 4 hours. We got about 30 new subscribers over on the backup channel. There was a good vibe, new faces, 150 on the stream, on KBS too. Oh, dude, it's like, wow. So by the end of today, that'll be 7 hours of live streaming, man. And you know what, Nacy? I've been in my element. It's awesome, because I get to speak to you, get to speak to these cool people out there. Lots of woo. You missed the Scottish prophet. AOC's even in the news. Well, she's in the news thanks to me. So it's a good day where I am, Nacy.
You are the master woo blaster.
I like that. I like that. Does that mean I get to wear funny pajamas like MC Hammer?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Can't touch
thank
this.
You.
Without permission.
Can't touch this.
Without consent.
Do you know what I was watching last night, man? You'll be proud of this. I was watching the old Purple Rain dude. You know, Prince, yes. Live from Paisley Park, but he was singing one of my favourite songs. Now, I knew he had done this song, but I'm more used to Sinead O'Connor singing Nothing Compares to You.
Oh, Nothing Compares to You.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, though, obviously he can do it better. He was the guy that wrote it, but wow, dude. I didn't really... When you listen to something, maybe sometimes you see the musician more than other times, if that makes sense, and you appreciate what it is they're doing. Dude, that guy had it all going on, man.
Well, the rumor is that he was very upset with the success that Sinead had with that he was so upset that allegedly she fled from Paisley Park because of an altercation that Prince and her had about her success with that song.
Was it getting a bit heated under the collar, and they say, dang, dude?
Well, when you upset a 5'1" man in high heels, you don't know what to expect. That you can't prophesize.
Right, but Anne's trying to speak to me when I'm busy doing a stream. You see what? You see what happens here, Nacy? You see, I tell you, man, I'm trying to juggle like 5 different worlds at once. It's crazy, dude.
Well, at least that's a delightful interruption.
Well, it is. It is, my friend, and I believe you had a bit of a trying day today, didn't you?
Oh, it started at 9 o'clock, where we were supposed to have a special meeting on the reservation with the tribal council, and we were going to bring up the cannabis cultivation and the mushkiki cultivation, and how the RBC is failing the people. And there was a huge disruption where somebody was escorted by the police from the meeting, and it gave the council a reason to call the meeting short and not address these specific challenges that have been going on now for, since the spring.
So was the meeting being accused of being 5'1" in high heels? It was short.
I would say a couple of them may or may not be in their high heels and weren't the happy campers.
What is it with men in high heels these days? I'm not comfortable with this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just get that right out there right now. I am not comfortable with this whole thing. In fact, I feel quite uncomfortable even talking about it. I can't handle this level of woo, so we're going to go right back to the network. Here we go, Nacy. Let's do it, man.
20 seconds.
Okay, we'll wait another couple of seconds yet. I better bow to your clock's better than mine. I said clock, ladies and gentlemen. Clock, as in time. Yes, it's one of these nights, Nacy. Here we go. Oh, crickets. And a Wookiee. Yay. There we go.
Come on, man.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. Are you serious?
How dare you?
And a little bit of that means we're back. We're live. It's Freaky Friday. I am Kev and Dave Baker. And we've got Nacy, Kevin, Kevin Shores. Oh, you've got loads of different names, dude.
Oh, the Mushkiki Res Solutions, the Megaphone Man, Rolling for US.
Do you technically have multiple personality disorder?
I guess if somebody would call the multitudes of handles I have on social networking, then yes. But it was only because I didn't understand the parameters of working these social networks. And so instead of using one with many handles, I got many handles using a plethora of them. But I don't peruse them or frequent my social networks like I probably should or could.
Don't do it.
Like
You're not
missing
it. You're missing a whole heap of mimetic warfare. But I'm thinking, right, as I work my way towards my pseudo-psychologist social media dissertation that I'm writing here, I'm thinking if you've got multiple online personas, I'm thinking that might count towards my thesis, dude. We can work together. Me, Dave, you and your many personalities, and wow, dude. It's like, who can handle that woo?
Multiple internet personality disorder?
I like it, man. Everyone's got a little bit of that, right? Come on, don't lie, you people out there. You've all got sock accounts. You've all got accounts that aren't attached to your main accounts that you like to go on there and from time to time lash out. Right? Right?
Was that
Not just me, is it?
clickety-clack?
I'm only joking.
Clickety-clack, clickety-clack. Who's that clickety-clacking on my bridge? Said the troll.
Is the troll a prophet? Do you think by the end of
Ooh.
today's show we could find a troll prophet? Probably.
I would probably say there are some in the troll community that have been blessed with that ability of prophesizing.
Predicting what day comes after tomorrow? Probably. But listen, Nacy, who is your favorite prophet out of all of them?
I have to go with Ezekiel.
Yeah.
In the Bible. For many accounts, when you first start reading the book of Ezekiel and he starts talking about what he witnessed, which he calls wheels within wheels from the heavens, and from these wheels came the voice of God, And then he starts describing the angels. And as we have in the past on Freaky Friday, we've discussed the hierarchy of angels and demons. And his description of the angels would sound more like the cherubs, where they had 4 sets of wings and multitudes of appendages and 4 faces to them.
They say, just repeat that again. They had 4 faces to them.
Yes. They had 4 faces. One was of a lion, of a cow, of a human, and an eagle. And then if you look at this, how they coordinate with the archangels, and then if you see the correlation of the archangels with the quadrant of the astrological signs, you'll see how they also mimic them. So it's really interesting how I can also find sacred geometry, more or less, within Ezekiel. And then he talks about Gog and Magog. And do you remember a certain bonesman that allegedly had the handle of Magog?
Yep.
So, there again we have this strangeness of, what I ponder a lot with the Bible is, what if there are entities out there that are using it as a playbook, and they're purposely making these things occur? Because we have the red heifer prophecy. And then, lo and behold, you find out that there are Hebrew descendants that are now scientists that are genetically manipulating cows to have a red heifer.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because you can look at that as being, well, they're trying to engineer that prophecy into being. But then you think about it another way as well, they say, right? When the prophecy was made, we don't know that in that prophecy the actual thing came from the result of those people engineering it in the first place. So by them trying to engineer, by them trying to self-engineer these things into reality, I mean, it could be the way that it was foretold in the first place, right? Maybe that's the way it always came about.
Well, that's where
It's a weird one, isn't it? It's like wow, that's a bit weird, but in the same breath, it's, when you think about it, it's actually quite logical, although it's hard to wrap your head around.
Well, it's like a catch-22,
Yeah.
where you have all of these movies that talk about the timeline and going back in time, and they will manipulate time. And then when they go into the future, a good example of this was 12 Monkeys, where he went into the past, and then all of a sudden you find out, because of him going into the past, he manipulated the timeline to be what the future ended up being. So the realm, I mean, you definitely can sit around and pop your noodle on thinking of these prophecies.
I can sit here and stroke my increasingly grey beard and look like I'm being very philosophical about all of this kind of timeline jumping and time traveling, but it's fascinating, isn't it? So when you have these biblical prophecies, this is the thing. I mean, yeah, these people foretell these events, but how do we know that like the red heifer, whatever you want to pronounce it, that's a brilliant example, because there are literally companies, genetic companies, that are breeding these things. They're literally cloning these things. Then you got people talking about building a third temple. Again, part of the whole prophetic thing, right? But are they trying to build it to fulfill prophecy? Or was the prophecy always a prophecy because they were the ones that were going to build it anyway? Oh, it's mind-boggling, isn't it?
Right. And then when you look at Ezekiel and how he was looked upon by those of that time, he was like shunned as a crazy man, and he was an oddity,
like us,
but he just,
like us, we're oddities.
Well, I would be the first one to admit that oddity. And if I may toot my horn, there was a couple Super Bowls that I've predicted that have happened. And may I toot my horn one more time? I don't know if you recall where we were discussing about possibilities of future occurrences. And one of the things I brought up that I felt there was going to be a shutdown of like cell phone towers, where they would say there's some kind of disruption happening and they don't know quite what it is. And have you talked to any of our friends down under? Because lo and behold, in Australia, they're having grid shutdowns with the cell phones and the internet, and that's been happening.
So you're prophetic. You are prophet Nisi.
Well, I as I stated earlier,
Nisi, don't put yourself up on that pedestal, because I'm just the kind of guy to kick it down. You know I am. Come on,
right?
now, dude.
Well, my one of my favorite expressions is, "Don't put me on a pedestal. I won't survive the fall." But bringing up the fact that if you recognize patterns, then you have a better assumption or a theory of what's about to come. And this is what I do. I've been very fortunate in my situation, even though I'm blind and crippled up in a wheelchair. Because of my 100% service connection as a disabled veteran, my financial standings are taken care of. Where I don't have to work. And so I have that luxury of, spending time perusing the internet or reading all of these audio books and that. And then you create the theories, and then you try to outweigh the data. And then from the data, you can make your assumptions or find out that theory is just as much as excrement that I'm full of, because I prove it daily.
We're all full of excrement. We're all full of excrement. And one thing I would add to your kind of pattern recognition is, remember, our brains are finely tuned to find patterns, yes. But our brains are so finely tuned to find patterns that sometimes we find them where it looks like there's a pattern, only it's a pattern that we've constructed. And that's why, you've got to kind of case-by-case example, obviously. But just because you see patterns doesn't mean that they're always there. Would you agree with that, Nisi?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, we are very adaptable to change. However, when it comes down to it, from my experiences, we get very uncomfortable not knowing or admitting that we don't know. And so with that being part of the case of our makeup, we have this safety net of finding the pattern because it makes us feel more comfortable. Well, it makes me feel more comfortable, when you figure out what you don't know. But then again, the catch-22, the more I figure out what I don't know, I realize there's so much more to know. And so where do you expel all of your energy and the precious moments? Do we take hours and hours and hours to be caught up in this, that, and the other thing? Or do we take those opportunities to share space with, living, breathing people right there? And don't get me wrong.
I like where you're going, but it depends where everyone is on their journey, right? It's easy for us OGs, Kev. We've been around the block. We've been around this block umpteen times, right? And we've got a good level of informational kind of absorption under our belt. We've got a good back catalogue. We've got our own libraries of Alexandra stored up there in our grey matter that we can call on. And it's easier for us to kind of make predictions. Not that we're always right, but we've got more context we can put things into. But for people nowadays just coming to this information, with there being so much online, it must be really overwhelming at times. And that's why I try to remind people you need to find a balance, because it's all very well trying to pursue the biggest questions out there in the universe and trying to seek the answers. But what happens if by the time you realize You can't even answer all of these questions. And like Naysay says, you end up with more questions than answers. What happens if by that time your life's passed you by? And
Absolutely.
you've poured it all into a digital screen in front of you, the same digital screen that you warn people is trapping us every day. And before you know it, you've poured all your attention into all of your intent. It's finding balance. It's like anything. It's like moderation, like drink, like smoking. It's like any vice. You've got to be able to enjoy the journey as well as be learning on the journey, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Again, and another challenge that I find is accepting the fact that there are some questions that you will not have an answer to. And that is a very hard one to swallow, especially when it comes to other people, when you're questioning other people about, thoughts or feelings or beliefs, and they just refuse to answer. And, sometimes we get a little crazy where it's like, just answer the question, and you just got to accept it. Why do I need that answer? Do I need that answer, or do I want that answer? And is that answer going to help me be a better person, to be a positive person?
Exactly.
So it's hard to check ourselves. It's easier to check somebody else, but it's a little bit more difficult to check ourselves.
Indeed it is. So listen, I'm going to pull up something here. It's about the book of Ezekiel that Naysay was talking about. It's also called the Prophecy of Ezekiel, one of the major prophetical books of the Old Testament. According to the dates given in the text, Ezekiel received his prophetic call in the 5th year of the first deportation of Babylonia, and that's 592 BC, and was still active until around 570 or 570 BC. Most of this time was spent in exile, and the literary history of the book is much debated, but its final form exhibits a threefold theme: threats against Judah and Jerusalem, that's chapters 1 to 25, threats against foreign nations, chapters 25 to 32, and prophecies of restoration and hope, chapters 33 to 44. The dates supplied throughout the book indicate that this arrangement of materials roughly corresponds to the chronological development of Ezekiel's ministry, although the arrangements also suggest a threefold eschatological, and that's an end of the world theme, that has led some scholars to question the traditional dates. The threats against Judah and Jerusalem belong to the period from Ezekiel's call, 593 BC, to the fall of Jerusalem in 586 BC. These threats against the threats against the foreign nations belong to the period immediately after the fall, 586 to 585 BC, and the prophecies of restoration belong to the period thereafter. Most of the material is undoubtedly genuine, although a few later additions are discernible. The book is valuable for understanding the life of the exiles of Babylon, having been cut off from Jerusalem and its temple where alone Yahweh dwelled and could be worshipped. The deportees were faced with a crisis of faith and practice. Ezekiel attempted to sustain his fellow exiles while striving to keep alive their traditional religious beliefs and by fostering a spirit of unity with one another. His prophecies did much to dispel the notion that Yahweh dwelled exclusively in Jerusalem. He emphasized the importance of individual responsibility, and he urged that the Sabbath be kept holy by cessation from work. For the holiness of the day was a special sign of Yahweh's relationship with his people. By being faithful, exiles promised that the exiles were promised that Israel would be restored. There we go, Nacy.
Right. And it's it's interesting when we look at today's world. Where are we going? Is this incredible answer. And then when we look at the past of these prophets and these shared thoughts and everything, and you find that they have somewhat been spot on with what's occurring. And just with what you were just reading there, imagine if there was a day where it was like, okay, we don't do anything. Where we take that day and we're not spending money, we're not doing anything. We're just relaxing and spending time with the family. Could that simple thing of one day spending time with each other and not on the mobile devices, don't pick Fridays, but like a Saturday, where some claim that it is the original Sabbath, could that not help us out in many levels of our existence?
Potentially, dude, potentially. But then you could argue we just had 18 months where we could have downed our electronic devices and had lots of that family time, right? But listen, I'm going to throw in something here as well, because just before you came on the broadcast today, I was about to take a look at future dates that have been put out there by people. I was tongue-in-cheek saying that my darling politician, the absolutely wonderful AOC, may well have been right when she said we've got 12 years back in 2019, because this miniature planetoid, this big giant comet, whatever it is that's flying into our solar system, swings around the sun in 2031. And I tell you, I can do AOC's Common Core math, and I can tell 12 years on from 2019 is 2031. So the dates coincide, right? The dates coincide. There she is there, looking rather delightful with herself. But it's not that I want to come to. As much as I would like to sit and stare at AOC, I can do that on my own time. We have got these dates here, my good friend Nacy. Now, the first comes from an American pastor called F. Kenton Beshore. It says 2021. And it says the American pastor bases his prediction on the prior suggestion that Jesus would return in 1988, i.e. within one biblical generation, got 40 years in brackets, of the founding of Israel in 1948. Beshore argues that the prediction was correct, but that the definition of a biblical generation was incorrect and was actually 70 to 80 years, placing the second coming of Jesus between 2018 and 2028, and the rapture during 2021 at the latest. So the rapture, they say, we've got like half the year to go before people start blipping out of existence. What do you make of that whole rapture thing, dude? Are you there, Nacy? Yes.
Sorry, I overextended my mute button.
All good in the hood, Nacy. As long as you don't leave me alone. As long as you don't leave me alone.
Well, the first thing that it makes me bring up is, when they talk about dates,
No man shall know the... Wait a minute, Nacy. I need to get this right. Come on now, wait a minute.
Where's the voice?
No man shall know the hour.
Exactly. And if we look at the Gregorian calendar, the Julian calendar, we look at the Hebrews calendar, the Mayans calendar.
You don't think the Julian calendar is a really camp name for a calendar? Julian. I don't know. It just sounds really, I don't know. Julian calendar. Wait, hey.
Right? So, well, that is the first conundrum in all of it, because whose calendar do we go by? And then the next one is I just lost my train of thought on it. The calendar system, and then the prophet in itself. I would dare to venture to say, in Israel, there is a mental hospital that allegedly has over 100 patients that all claim that they are the second coming.
Is that the sound of the apocalypse in the background where Kevin is? I can hear like the the Tibetan monk on top of the hill in the 2012 movie. Ba-doing.
Right? Yeah, the horns are
It
blowing.
almost
Gabriel.
sounded. Wait a minute, it almost sounded like this. I think the didgeridoo will sound. The didgeridoo will sound, they say, when the
That
end of
would
the
be
world
much
comes.
more enjoyable.
Wouldn't it? So yeah, there you go. No, it's not the end of the world just yet, folks. We haven't predicted it, so we know it's not going to be. Sorry to interrupt you there, Nacy. It's just
Oh, that's how.
I thought I heard the
That's
trumpets going, man.
yeah. Well, it's a bummer when you're only quarter of a mile away from the train tracks. So as long as they're not going to a
The bell of the Illuminati.
right. So then there again is the other challenge that, if Jesus does not have a extremely good publicist, he's going to find himself in a 4 padded room cell on a Thorazine drip.
And dude, let's think about it anyway. And I'm probably guilty of this. And I've got the hat on back to front now, ladies and gents. That means one thing. Dave has entered the building. It's on back to front and lopsided, which is hysterical. It's brilliant. I'm going with it. You know what, Nacy? I reckon if Jesus did come back, I was thinking about this actually earlier on today because I was watching an Australian ABC News documentary on the rise of deep fakes. And you can guarantee if this cat turned up right now, if we didn't see him physically and we're watching videos of people have recorded on YouTube or things like that, there'd be people out there going, that's a deep fake Jesus. People wouldn't believe, dude.
Yeah, and then if you rip apart, Project Bluebeam, then there again, we have the challenge of where the technology is so incredibly advanced, the fakery is definitely amok.
I like it. The fakery runs amok, ladies and gentlemen, and the lunatics are running the asylum. Kev, Dave, Nacy, and Kevin will be back after the break, wherever you are. Get your didgeridoo out and make it T, F, and R. Can't really beat a little bit of the didgeridoo, Nacy. What's your equivalent? What's the equivalent like? Because that's like some vibration that goes through you there, man.
Well, even with like drums.
Yeah, I was gonna say the drumming would probably be your thing, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Plus, we had the Native American flute. That's estimated, like 1,000 years plus old that my people have been using a flute. Plus, if you think about it, also a bow and arrow. When you twang on the bow, it makes a plucking sound. So I find it hard to believe that they didn't know about string instruments also.
Well, Anne was my good friend Dr. McCairn recently got himself ready for the apocalypse by arming himself with a crossbow. And Anne was saying to me, well, would you like a crossbow? And I would very much like a crossbow, very expensive and probably very banned in Scotland. But the bows, the arrows, how proficient were you back in the day with one of them, they say? Did you ever give that a crack?
Oh, absolutely. My father had a compound bow.
See, this is what I'm talking about, because there's nothing quite like a crossbow or arrows and things when it's a zombie apocalypse. We're talking reusable ammo, dude. You can just like pull it out and away you go again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, in our basement before it was remodeled by my dad, we used to have like 4 bales of hay with targets on it, and we would shoot the compound bow from one end of the house to the other, because my father was an advocate bow hunter.
Yeah, I fancy the bow. Crossbow for me though. With my small, measly, puny arms, I need the crossbow, and I need one that's going to be really easy to pull back. You know what I'm saying?
My daughter wants a crossbow, and I do think that's something she might be getting on her 18th birthday.
Nice, man, nice. Nice. I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you, that's what it needs. Everyone should be crossbowed up and ready to go. That's
Well,
all
I
I'm
would
saying.
have to say that I've spent many hours wondering what my zombie apocalypse survival kit would need inside it.
What would be like your top 3 things? In fact, hold that thought. Hold that thought. We'll do it when you come back, right? Hold that thought. Now, a big shout out to Christopher, Stimulate, St. Marionette, Luna, Bet, Alza, ZX, man. Good to see you again, bro. We've got Bet, Craig is in there, Jocelyn, Mark, Deb, Numh. Good to see you. We've got Patrick, who was talking about the narwhal earlier on. Anyone who talks about a narwhal on a Freaky Friday deserves a tip of the cap, sir. Tip of the cap. Yes, indeed. And we're watching the clock now, Nacy. We're gonna be going back to TFR HQ, dude. I'm drunk on streaming today, man. Do you know that? I've decided to have a beer. I've only had 1 beer. But we done 4 hours on KBS2 earlier. Now we've done an hour over here. Dude, what? I need to behave, honestly.
Well, I wish I had a little bit more time because I can't confirm or deny I would have had a little extra oil today.
Bro, it's like, it's really addictive, this, though. Like, if people like watching the channel, I love that. But I honestly get as much from coming out and going on live and seeing the same names out there. So it's a 2-way thing, folks. Trust me, and it gets really,
you're
really
so
addictive.
adorable, Captain.
Oh, adorable! I've got a face for radio, and that's on a really dark studio, a really dark studio. Yes, indeed. So, Nacy, what do you think? 20 seconds.
I think we're almost there.
You think we're almost there? Okay. All right. Let's see. I like it. Confidence, man. Confidence. Here we go. Well, by the power of Nacy, we're going back to TFR HQ. Yeah, there we are. We are back. We are live. And by popular demand, we are moving into hour number 2. I'm Kev and Dave Baker, and I've got Nacy and Kevin Shores with me today. Not 2, but 4. 4 helpings of craziness from 2 crazy guys. And listen, before I forget, I seen a very special VIP out there in YouTube land. The one, the only, the Brent Thomas. You know that guy, the guy that fires up, the owner of, no less, the Paranormal Portal. Yep, he's got you covered. Right after we finish lubing you up over here, he will help you slide through the Paranormal Portal beyond the tip. All the way, baby, all the way. And that comes right after today's Freaky Friday. Boy, did that end up being a little more creepy than it sounded in my head, Nacy, when I said it beforehand.
That's the beautiful about our buddy Brent, that, you know,
But he doesn't mind
that...
lubing people up. Oh no, hang on, I'm chief luber. I'm trying to think I'm the lube guy. That's not a good job to have, man.
Well, there's nothing more enjoyable than a nice, comfortable, tight-fitting paranormal portal.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, it's a tight fit. That's all I'm going to say. But listen, Don Longbeard is over there to guide you through as well. He'll give you a helping hand. And we'll be joining the guys for 5 hours of paranormal craziness the next Friday the 13th. Now, memory serves me correctly. It might be August. I'll check that before we go.
I think it is August.
Well, Brent says you grease them up, Kev, and I'll bring it home. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Dang, dude. There's a whole heap of...
Genetically modified.
Oh, man, that's the noise it makes when you slip on through that paranormal portal. Well, that was one of the craziest 3 minutes of Freaky Friday we've ever had, Nacy.
Wasn't it Scary Mary that called us the lunatics?
Oh, Scary Mary was on form last night as well, dude. It, like jaw-dropping, mic drop moments. Love that woman. She
Yeah,
speaks
it was
very highly
enjoyable.
of you, brother. Like, no word of a lie. Like, not on air or anything, but off air when I contact her beforehand. She loves your woo, dude. And of course, she
Oh,
really appreciates not just the Paleo American stuff, but also the fact we go down under to Donnie, Luna, the Strongs, Jess and Dan, Ken Rotman, all of our Australian brothers and sisters that we've had on the show. And talking of Australia, let me take this moment to shamelessly plug the upcoming chapter 11 and 12 of our Alien Ancestry Conference. That'll be on this weekend. Midnight here tomorrow into Sunday morning, 9 a.m. over in Melbourne, Australia. So if you want to check that out, go to ouralienancestry.net. And like I say, it's one of the most info-filled online conferences I've attended. And you have to appreciate, I get access to a lot of these conferences because of guests that come on the show and stuff like that. And talking of conferences, we've got the Contact in the Desert happening this weekend. You know, just coincidence, Kev, Contact in the Desert's happening, albeit a digital one, a Zoom conference probably. That's the way they do it nowadays. But it coincides with the UFO report coming out. It's almost like the Pentagon wanted to give it on the same weekend, even though there was nothing to do with aliens in there. Weather balloons, dude, weather balloons.
well, you know, if you read the report and you take every 11th word and run it through and then put it in reverse, then you find between the lines something.
You
I'm
know,
not
Jimmy's
100%
mate
sure
Rio
what it
will be
is.
doing that. You know, Rockin' Rio, Jimmy's friend, will be doing that right now. You're writing it down, saying every 11th word. Okay, I've got that. I'll play them backwards. Got that. You know what, dude? You know what do you make of that reverse speech, Nacy? What do you make of it?
I've heard enough of it that I will give it some merit to it, because I remember was it David John Oates way back in the day, back in the mid to late 90s. I think he used to be on Art Bell, and he used to do a lot of the reverse speech stuff. And you know, when you go through thousands and thousands of hours, you're bound to find a handful that are very clear. And Rio has done it so often that he can now pick it out right away. And I've actually asked him to go back and find any of my clips when I've been on shows and do reverse speech on it, because I'd like to know if I'm talking out of my arse.
Well,
as I'm
Jimmy
forward.
freaked me out one day, dude, because I shouldn't have been. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. Because he turned round at the end of us having a conversation about these backward speech things. And for people out there maybe wondering what we're on about, David Oakes, he's somebody that goes on Clyde Lewis a lot. I've had him on KBS one time. But he found that when you play speeches and people talking, when you play it in reverse, subconsciously, words slip out. And it's a bit weird. And the most famous one I can think of is Obama when he said, "Yes, we can."
Yeah,
And when you played
yes.
that, and it came back as,
Thank you, Satan.
that's what it sounded like when you played it backwards. Thank you, Satan. Now, I'm somebody that usually doesn't hear it myself. I need somebody like Jimmy or Rio to say, well, it says this. And when they say it, I hear it. I think there is something to it, you know. I do think there might be something to it. But then there's one day we're sitting and we've had this conversation, and they say, and Jimmy says, "It's all right, Kev. We've checked you out already." What? He says, "Yeah, you're congruent. Like, what I say forward, there's no difference when you play it backwards. The odd word that does, like, manifest and come out of there, it's always in context with what I'm saying forward. So according to the reverse speech, the pseudo-reverse speech school of thought, all right? I'm all right. I'm okay, Nacy. You're safe with me, dude. I've got no subconscious agenda going on. And I'm not saying...
Thank you, Satan.
So now when you play that forwards, it will say, that Freaky Friday and the Kev Baker Show, they're absolutely brilliant, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in every Monday to Friday on tfrlive.com, right?
Actually, it says, please like, share, and subscribe.
Oh, nice, nice. So what do you make of Nostradamus, dude? What about Nostradamus? He was a good one, right?
Oh, yes, another favorite. I love his whole thing of where he does the scribing in a copper bowl with water.
Yes,
Was one
scrying
of
is
his.
I first came across that, watching a TV show over here called Most Haunted. And it was a psychic medium called David Wells. And he was scrying into a mirror. He was actually doing it in a mirror. And any reflective surface, they say, is a portal and can be used for the second sight, as we call it over here. Prophecy, seeing future events, going to other realms. So I'm with you. The whole Nostradamus and the way he was doing it, it's very fascinating. And I believe as well, he used to go down into a cave and do it on occasion, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the other beauty about divination. There's many different tools that we can utilize. Some people use runes, some people use tarot cards. There's many different styles of tarot cards. Some people, I have, my mother at one point was in a coven, and the woman, she did a regular set of playing cards that she would use for her tarot cards. Plus you got all these other different tools of divination. But this is where I was discussing earlier. I believe that we all have this ability to tap into the ethos, or whatever you want to call it. But when we do this, when we practice this, then we have to make a note and be okay. This is what happened the first time. And then you do it again, and this is what happened the second time. And then at some point when you hone your skills, just like, building a muscle up, you got to practice and practice and practice. And then you find out what works for you. Because I used to actually read tarot cards. I had the old Rider deck, and then I got the medicine cards, and then I got the Sacred Path cards, and I scared the bejesus out of myself, where I was having more success when I was pulling my own cards, and it got to the point where it scared me that I stopped using them. Because it just, there's something just bizarre when all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, I think this is what these cards are telling me. And then lo and behold, it's exactly what the card said.
And then it
And
goes,
so,
but then it goes back to the whole, well, not quite goes back to, but you have to take into consideration then, are you in some way making these events manifest because of the cards, if that makes sense, right?
well, this is the whole thing of being critically honest with yourself.
And that's what I love about you, dude. I'm not like calling you a liar. I'm trying to expand it so that we look at it from all angles, right? Yes.
Sorry, again, mute challenge there. Well, that's the whole thing.
Thought you'd fallen out with me there. I panicked there. I'm like, oh no, I went too far.
I'll never leave you, brother.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. Thank you. And even though sometimes I let the audience know he doesn't even use lube. There you go.
Well, nothing like the old-fashioned saliva. But when we make these predictions, are we manifesting it? Do we make it come to pass? That's where you have to be critically honest with yourself. Because a lot of times we feel this absolute need to be right. And are we willing to be right so badly that we manifest it to happen? Because I feel I think that the mind is an incredible adaptive tool that we can manipulate things depending on the focus and the intent of what we're going towards.
I like it, dude. I like it. Now, can you give me a minute to go to the toilet, Nancy, and can you entertain the masses? Would that be okay?
I got it. Yeah.
Okay, over to you, brother. Over to you.
Beautiful. Well, I wanted to take a quick moment and give a shout out to a friend of mine, Jameson, that I was very fortunate that he was willing to take me to the reservation last night. We stayed overnight at our casino. And so thank you, Jameson. I think he's listening on his way home. And also, I got to absolutely make a shout out to Captain Kev for giving us this platform to where we can share our thoughts and our ideas and discuss the woo, you know, because we are the woo crew and we're here for you, cuckoo, cuckoo, and hopefully we're doing you proud and getting some topics and stuff that you find yourself later on in the week, you know, pondering over it, because you are the miraculous perfection of unique individualism, and you have that ability to do what is needed and what is wanted. I would strongly suggest that you fulfill your needs first and then possibly help those around you fulfill those needs, and then go after your wants, because I think we're selling each other short when we're not helping each other fulfill those needs.
Nice.
And hopefully being here on Freaky Friday, we're fulfilling your needs, and absolutely reach out to us. We're not very difficult to get hold of.
I am. I'm like a rock star around here. I'm really hard to get a hold of. Only joking, they say.
Well, you're difficult to touch, but not difficult to get a hold of.
Yes, exactly. I'm the most accessible podcaster on the internet, to my detriment at times. Yes, but anyway, let's get back into some of these future prophecies, right? I hadn't heard some of these. 2026. This comes from the Messiah Foundation International. Ooh, that sounds like one of these new agey, dreamcatchery, chicken foot waving kind of cults going on, doesn't it? This spiritual organization predicts that the world will end in 2026 when an asteroid collides with Earth in accordance with Rez Ahmed Gohar Shahi's predictions in his book, The Religion of God. 2026, he put money on that one, they say. I'm saving my money. I'm not happy with that one. I'm not impressed.
We definitely have to try to find you one of those sound bites of the bum, bum, bum.
I have got that in my arsenal here. Would you like me to get the hang on now? I've got it here. Where are we? I think it's disappointment that comes under. No, I've got. Oh, hang on. We've got this one. Wait, now we've got this. That's a good one, right? That's one of them.
That's for the failed prophets.
Yep. We've also got this one. Let me see. We've got. There we go. There we have it. That's a good one.
Right. That's my prediction that at the next break I won't make it to the toilet quick enough.
Oh, you will, dude. Anyway, 2028, right? You better make it to the toilet. We're not having accidents like that on the show. We've got Kent Hovind, and he's an American Christian fundamentalist evangelist and tax protester. He's a controversial figure in a young earth creationist movement whose ministry focuses on the denial of scientific theories in the fields of biology, geophysics, and cosmology. I think he's a flatty. While clarifying there's no way to be certain, this Christian fundamentalist evangelist speculated in 2015 that 2028 was the most likely date for the rapture. Oh, please. It doesn't even tell us what it's based on or nothing, they say. I don't even think that should be an entrant into the competition for end of the world dates, right?
Well, if I was to put out end of the world date, I would have to say tomorrow, because tomorrow will never come. Because tomorrow
Oh,
will
you
always be
clever
tomorrow.
bugger. Look at you, eh? Look at you. I like it, man. I like it. You're
So
right,
beware
though.
of tomorrow.
You're right. You know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, why not? Well, I guess I can answer my own
the
question.
future. The future never comes. We're always,
Right.
it's only ever the now, you know?
But I do imagine, if there was an asteroid that flew by so close that the entire world saw it and it made them ponder, wow, what if that was only 12 degrees this way or that way, the connection,
Well,
that would be a really...
I'm scared to ask, dude, but what do you make of the miniature planet or the giant mega comet that's making its way into the solar system right about now? Started off when they first looked at the data. Oh, that's a 3 million year orbit. They looked at a bit more data and they took it down. 600,000 year orbit.
Well, I'm going to bring up Star Wars.
Okay,
Now,
I like it, dude.
If you remember in Star Wars, I think it was episode 2, when Obi-Wan Kenobi was trying to find the cloning planet and he couldn't detect it. And he went to Yoda and all of the young Jedis. I can't remember what they were called, darn it. But all of the Jedi in training, oh dang it. Come on, Kev, I thought you'd throw that out there. But he goes
I was
to Yoda.
answering our chatters. I apologize profusely, brother. I was saying a big hello to our Auntie Luna down under. And I only tell you that because I know you'll let me off with it now, you see.
Yeah, I
see,
love her dearly.
Luna gets a bye. Luna gets a pass. So Naysay's good. Naysay's good.
Well, all of you with vertical challenges get a pass in my book because I'm finally as tall as you guys. But that's because I'm sitting in a chair, of course. But Padawans. So Obi-Wan Kenobi goes to Yoda and he says, hey, I'm looking for this planet, and all of the signs of the surrounding celestial bodies say there is a planet there, but it's not there. So if we have holographic technology, especially with the utilization of drones, is it not feasible that they could put up a quadrant of drones that would show a false image of the sky, of whether it be like blankness?
Well, you could, but to really like crush this conspiracy before you get it going, right? But this was taken from data that was like gathered back in 2014, looking for it was the Dark Energy Survey, if memory serves me correctly, and it was looking out in the Oort cloud region. So as much as I agree, yes, they could do things with drones and holograms, but this planetoid that I'm asking you about, this seems to be a real deal right now, dude.
Well, it definitely would help solidify my theory about how the moon is off.
There you go. See, there you go. You see, and this is like it's like 100 and about 100 kilometers to 300 kilometers. Some estimates are, pretty sizable thing. And if it's like, and again, I'm speculating here, Nacy, but I'm wondering if they're going to turn around and say that, this could be what they've been looking for when they were looking for Planet 9. Remember when they were looking for that? I think when they readjust and they get more data and they're able to fine-tune the orbit, I'm speculating that they're going to say that this might be the thing that's been causing a little bit of pulling and pushing out there. But listen, I'm like you, and I'm looking for anything out there at all that could explain the erratic behavior of the moon that many people talk about. It's not just you. A lot of people talk about the moon being a bit wonky. So, yeah, dude, maybe I'm just confirmation bias. Maybe I'm wanting this thing to be more than it is. I don't know. But it's interesting,
technically, from my ancestry's standpoint, our beginning of the year is the spring equinox of the northern hemisphere. Now, since the spring equinox has occurred, this full moon that we just had, this is the fourth full moon since the spring equinox. So as I've stated before, I believe that this full moon is actually the full moon of July already, because the third full moon is what we call Ode Iminigesis, which is called the strawberry picking moon. And up here on the reservation, after last full moon, then you start looking for the strawberries to be ripe. And lo and behold, within days after the last full moon, the strawberries were all ripe for picking. And so something's definitely off. Something is definitely afoot. And like you said earlier, no man shall know, especially if we get caught up in all of this, daylight savings time, and we got to jump forward or jump backwards and do the hokey pokey and turn yourself around.
And that's what it's all about. Way, oh, hokey pokey pokey. No. Oh, come on, man.
Your singing was great.
And my sister-in-law, albeit a pseudo sister-in-law, because me and Anne are not betrothed, we're not married, right? But my pseudo sister-in-law, Julie, in the chat room, says, "I know, but it's what they're saying, Kev. This planet's going to fly around the sun and it's going to whack us and it's going to destroy us." Well, I haven't read that just yet, but listen, don't let me get in the way of some good woo. And we've got 10 years of comet or asteroid or planet 2014 UN 124. Am I right? Oh, 271. Damn. I almost got it right. But for people who don't know, I don't see that. Telling you, man, it's like Houston, hang on. Houston, we have a planetoid. Yes, indeed. UN 271. That's Uniform November 271. It's not an Earth killer, though. Not yet. It says an object with an orbit that takes it almost a light year from the sun is about to pay us a visit. We have almost a decade's warning because it's unusually large for a visitor from such a distance, and it could become the largest comet ever seen. Although estimates of the object 2014 UN 271's trajectory are changing rapidly as we find more observations in the records, the current best guess is it last came within the orbits of the planets 3 million years ago. But then they looked again, and it was 600,000 years. And by next time, it'll be 13,000 years. And then we'll be getting into the playground of Zachariah Sitchin and whether or not the Anunnaki, yes, the Anunnaki are coming back after the break. Don't go anywhere.
From the dawn of man, we have turned to nature to help attain balance within ourselves.
Yes, we have.
But somewhere,
Yes, we have, Mr. Geo. From the dawn of man, people have been asking themselves, can you, yes, you, handle the woo? Indeed. I'm having fun today, Nacy. I'm having fun today, dude.
That's wonderful. It's quite enjoyable to hear your delight on the show tonight.
Oh, man, I tell you, the longer I stream, the happier I get. Maybe I should just go for the full 24, dude. Just keep going. 48, 72, IRL streaming. Why not, man? Go for a dump. Take the stream with me. It's what Joe Joseph would do, you know.
You are getting sleep in between some of the streaming, right?
Well, actually, no. Listen, dude. Past 2 nights, I have slept like a miniature baby. Oh boy, have I been getting a good sleep, dude. And that's
wonderful.
Bear in mind, I'd gone like a week where it was, wow, grabbing an hour here or there. Stuff like that. That was about it, man. But now, past 2 nights, awesome. And it all culminated in today.
My dream of you and Scotty.
Oh.
I had this dream where somewhere at a very high altitude was a pedestal, and on the pedestal was a bear standing up on its hind legs. And
There's
somebody
a bear.
puts
Where? There on the stair. Bear on the stair. Right there. A little bear with clogs on. Well, I declare. Going clip clippity clop on the stair.
so so I get a ladder to put up there and climb up this bear and take this hat off because somebody put a ridiculous hat on the bear. And the bear wasn't tightly bolted to the top of the pedestal, so it would wobble a little bit, and so it would freak me out like I'm going to fall. And so as I'm trying to get this hat off of the bear, in my headset, when I'm talking to the ground, I'm getting static of you and Scotty Lopez playing a video game.
In the bear.
And you guys are talking, it's some kind of combat video game you guys were playing.
Call of Duty. I probably got my ass handed to me. Scotty was probably carrying me like he usually does.
Right, and you guys were going back and forth about like, there's a guy over there up on the right. Get him, get him, get him. You know, and you guys are back and forth calling out, doing stuff like that. But it was definitely your guys' voices in the dream.
I love it, dude. Love it. So listen, thank you all for tuning in today. 126 souls we've got here. This is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Myself and Nacy carrying the Freaky Friday home. Scotty Lopez, big shout out to him. He was showing me pictures earlier on. I've got it somewhere. I think it's here. Of the damage that the storm around his place is doing. Take a look at that. Wow. We've got a tree down, Nacy. Yes, smart bugger. I was just about to describe it to you. Come on, man. I know I'm like the audio book. I know my chores around here, man. You know that.
You said,
you covered.
You said 126. So one and 2 is 3.
And it's time to come back from the break.
6 is.
Yes. Here we go. There we go.
I'll stand tall in the face of tyranny. I'll stand tall.
We are back, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed, we are back. We are moving into the second half of today's Freaky Friday, right here on your #1 network, Truth Frequency Radio, going all the way from America to Australia and just about everywhere else in between. It's Kevin Dave here in Scotland under the Data Dome coming to you live, and we've got Nacy over there in Minnesota, or close to it, and he's coming to you live. He's not just Nacy, he's Kevin Shores. We are men with many multiple personalities. It sounds more like the start of a pseudo-psychology podcast than the kind of place where we like to ask you, can you handle the woo? And you missed it during the break, but I was showing off my singing prowess. Yes, I was singing about bears. Yes, bears, where? There on the stair. You missed it all, folks. You see, sometimes the best radio happens when we're off air. But Nacy, we're here to talk about prophecy today. I'm going to throw in another one in a moment, but before the last break, right, I've just remembered. I was going to ask you when we came back from the break, talking of apocalyptic times and prophecies, end of the world, that kind of stuff, the eschaton, as they like to call it in more scholarly circles. What would be your 3 main pieces of equipment for the zombie apocalypse, dude? You can take 3 things, man. It's all you've got. Come on, go.
An unlimited supply of 200-pound fishing line. Because I would instruct people to pound in stakes so they're at least 3 to 4 inches above the ground and tying fishing line on them. So as the zombies are running towards you, they're tripping up.
I like it, dude. I like it.
And then you would need
of course, you know, you hand a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, and you give that man fishing line and teach him how to fish. You know how that one goes, right?
Exactly. And then you would need a hatchet and a short sword, because all you need to do is get them good enough in the thigh or behind the knee, and they're down
So
and
in
they're
your
crawling.
zombie apocalypse, though, let me ask you, because you have to really get into the nuts and the bolts, or the guts and the glory of all of this. Are they fast moving zombies, or are they more like the kind of slow, old fashioned ones?
Yeah, I have a hard time believing in the classic,
So you go
night
for like the crazy batshit flying off walls, like million
28
miles per
days
hour,
later. Yeah,
Olympian type zombies coming at you.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how it works out.
I think it's going to be more of some kind of short circuit of the brain, to where they're going to go very primal.
You know, Nacy, in one of my more philosophical moments, sitting having a coffee out in very bohemian Glasgow, I was watching the surroundings and I was thinking, are we not living already amongst the zombie apocalypse? As I watched the masses of young and old walking to and fro, going from A to B, work, shopping, all in a trance state, all transfixed, bar one or two, to a device in their hand. And if they weren't staring at it directly, it was still in their hand. Hasn't the zombie apocalypse already occurred, my friend, and nobody even noticed?
I would absolutely agree with that assessment.
You see, the stroking of the philosophical grey beard under the data dome of Glasgow comes in handy sometimes, right?
Well, I was teasing my friend as we were driving back from the reservation. He was using GPS, and I told him the entire route of how to get from the reservation to my home, and it's only like a matter of 4 turns. But he could not shut that GPS off, and at one point it told him to take this ridiculous route. And I'm like, don't listen to that. That's ridiculous. That'll take us another 5 minutes. Oh, I wonder if that's maybe why maybe he did. I don't know. But he was so dependent on that GPS. And I'm like, I came straight out and asked him, do you know how to read a map? Because
That's going to be a good leveler for your average citizen, they say.
right. Because I remember, I was fortunate that my father was a truck driver and my stepfather was a truck driver, and I got to see most of America,
Nacy, we're
in a
military
semi-truck.
dudes. We're military dudes, man. I would like to think both me and you are semi-proficient in old school map reading skills, right?
Right.
Right? But not so much the general public.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing that when we would go on road trips, I had maps in the vehicle, and I would tell my daughters, I'm like, grab the map. This is where we're going. Find the route on how to get there. Just to get them orientated, because, I talk to people and it's like, okay, do you know, is your front door, what direction is it facing? And they'll be like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, where does the sun rise and where does the sun set? The basics, and it's surprising how many people don't get it. One of the things that I enjoy is I can have somebody take me outside and they can grab the controller of my chair and spin me around in multitudes of turns, like 360, and keep going. And then they can stop me and they'll go, what direction are you facing? And I would say 7 out of 10 times I would get it right.
See, I'm going to have to give you all-round defense, though, right? Because if you're going to be our, proficient map reader, I'm going to have to ask, can I take 5 things for the zombie apocalypse? Because I'm going to have to give you, some kind of all-round defense going on here, right?
Right.
You're getting bearings set out, so I'm wanting my crossbow. And Alza in the chat room, you stole my thunder. Because I'm not wanting any normal crossbow. I want a crossbow that comes with bows with pure, unadulterated, silver tips. and I want some of Bill Bean blessed water that sits just behind the tip. So it's like an exploding tip with holy water in it, right? Because you just don't know, they might be demonic zombies. I also want an unlimited supply of PPP. That when I take some out my bag to put it in my pipe, puff the pipe, I go back in my bag and it's just magically growing again. It's all ready to go. Bear with
Like
me.
Hermione.
I'm getting an extra 2 items here, right? Because come on, man,
Yeah.
you're reading the map. Forget the fishing line. You've got that. I'm wanting rope, ladies and gentlemen. Rope. We'll put rope, waist height.
Elfin rope.
Yep, waist height around the location. And last but not least, we need a phone with internet connection so we can bloody well live stream the apocalypse, man. Come on. Yeah. I've got to listen, dude, it's the YouTuber in me. I'm always looking for like new edgy content, something somebody else hasn't done, you know. Forget that Jake Paul character. We're gonna take over the tubes from them when the zombie apocalypse gets going. And in Scotland, ladies and gentlemen, we won't even be able to fight them with a crossbow. No, in fact, forks are on the verge of being barred over here for being offensive weapons. They're not, but it's a joke. But listen, we will fight them with our ladles. We'll paint ourselves blue. The men will wear skirts. We'll bare our arses at the border, and just like the Romans, ladies and gentlemen, they will come no further, Mr. Nacy. The zombies will stop and they'll build a wall, just like the Romans did. They'll have none of it in Scotland. I'm telling you, man.
So can you use sporks?
You can, but listen, you talking about zombie apocalypse. I live in the East End of Glasgow. You get on a bus here and it looks like an extras kind of transportation to the set of The Walking Dead on a good day. So listen, it wouldn't much change around here, Nacy. Not much would change at all, man.
Yeah, I would agree, and I'll share my zombie apocalypse story that I was working on. Have you ever?
Wait a minute, Nacy. I think all we need for the zombie apocalypse is Luna. Because Luna is going to gather an army of hairy men and 6-foot red kangaroos. I don't give a damn what colour any kangaroo is. Kangaroos can fight. I've seen those things landing punches. Those things are dangerous, dude. So sack it, dude. Let's just get like all 3 choices. Let's just get our PPP, head to Australia and find Luna. And fishing line. We need fishing line. We'll always need fishing line, man.
Well, I mean, I would like to hope that the extraterrestrial entity that wins the argument is the one that has faith in us, that we will get our collective poop in a group, and not the extraterrestrial entity that thinks we taste like chicken.
Is there any prophecies out there where we win? Like most prophecies are pretty dire outcomes, right? End of the world happens this way, asteroid happens that way. Is there anywhere where we all end up singing? Where we all end up singing Kumbaya? And, well, Charlie Sheen, do we all end up singing Kumbaya and drinking tiger blood?
Yeah, the Charlie Sheen prophecy where we're all winning.
We're all winning. Hashtag winning.
Well, any day that we're above ground, I guess we're winning. And I have to put it out there that for as bleak as it may seem someday, these children are still coming back. And coming from the reservation and seeing the poverty on the reservation, you see these children that have nothing, yet they're still able to laugh and play, and that glee that I get, witnessing these children having fun, it gives me hope and faith that, we're still here for a reason.
Exactly. That's why I've turned that frown upside down in recent times, dude. Really have. Tried to concentrate on the positive. But the doom and gloom's out there. It's not that I ignore it. I absolutely pay attention to it. but I choose not to invest as much time and energy into it. And hopefully, in some small cosmic way, that affects it being able to manifest into being a reality. But Nancy, I'm looking for a prophet out there that's going to give us some love and light. I want the Charlie Sheen, like, we're all drinking tiger blood, singing Kumbaya by the fire kind of prophecy. That's what I'm looking for, dude. But I fear we won't find that in the prophetic world of prophecy, or should we call it nowadays prophets for money as opposed to prophets for predictions?
Prophecy.
Prophecy versus prophecy.
Yeah, I agree there. Where, there's too many people that are wanting that almighty digital currency, or whatever you want to call the gold. That they're willing to go to any extreme to get that gold or to keep that gold. And this is where it does get heartbreaking, when you witness these people. And some people get wrapped up in the romanticism of the Paleo Americans, but on our own reservation, we're witnessing people doing horrific things to each other. So they come in all shapes and sizes, and sometimes you just have to make those critical decisions to be, hey, you're just a little too negative for me. I can still love you from afar, but that's where our relationship is going to have to be, from afar. Because I'd love to have, you're all welcome to the reservation. We'll do it in adoption ceremony, and I'll adopt all of you, and we'll start our own medicine or mushkey community. Come unity.
Yes, indeed. I'm just picturing you adopting me. That sounds like a recipe for disaster, dude. The US barely handled me when I came over to Florida when I was in the military, and I mean that. They barely handled me, dude. I don't think the US is ready for me and you teaming up and going on some crazy road trip, man. Wow, dude.
Oh, I'll definitely know how to handle you, my brother.
Now that sounds a bit. Well, that sounds like a different stream altogether. Let's see what I'm saying, folks. Not a hint of lube anywhere. You see how he went straight in there for the kill? That's what he does. Terrible like that. So anyway, listen, we're gonna come back over
you
here.
Crack. I'm gonna jump in.
Oh, boom, boom. In fact, no. That was definitely in need of some. Where did I put it? Where did I broke the. I lost it, dude. I lost it. And now if I find it, it's way too late to do it. It's like the moment's gone. My timing was all off. Anne's been telling me that for years. Now I know why. So it says this Sunni Muslim theologian, 2020, 21, 29. So listen, folks, if the world ends in 2020, 21, 29, may I just say on a totally selfish mindset here, well, at least none of us will be here to see it, right? Unless they do perfect life longevity technology. But this comes from the Sunni Muslim theologian, author of the Rasail-i-Nur, and founder of the Nur movement, and wrote in a letter to one of his students, the 21st in the so-called Kasamanu Appendix, that by applying numerology to a hadith, that he had arrived at a date of 1545 for the arrival of Doomsday. Now, 1545 in the Hijri calendar, not the Julian, but the Hijri calendar, would be 2122. In the Rumi calendar, it would be 2129. Nusri added that this was not a definite prediction, as nobody knows the time of doom in a strict manner. So he actually says nobody knows the time of doom, but I'm going to say it's 2022. I don't know, dude. What do you think? Does anyone know how it's going to end? And does it ever end? You know, I speak to Evan and Stephen Strong. You listen to those shows, dude. They talk about the ascension of the Earth right now. I definitely see big changes that we're going through on planetary levels, on societal levels. We see it's like a changing of the age that we're all here witnessing right now, and none of us have lived through anything like this before, so it's all new to us. Or does every generation think that they're living through something like this, Nathan?
Well, I remember the Y2K, and I was nervous about it. I was nervous about it when I was in Minneapolis. I was hanging out with a buddy of mine, and he had a couple shady characters over there, and he's like, Nace, share to them about Y2K and the potential of what could happen. And I'm like, okay, he's just jerking my chain. But I shared with him, and then these two guys were all excited for the collapse because they were like, if everything collapsed, we could kill who we want. And that freaked me out because I'm already in a wheelchair. So I have the word victim stamped on my forehead. And so I'm like, there's no way I want to be in the Twin Cities, where there's millions of people if, something on a grander scale occurs. Even right now, I'm feeling in my little town of 40,000, across the river, there's 150,000 people in Fargo, and then West Fargo has another, I think it's 60,000. So when it comes down to the has and the has-nots, it is going to be very sad. Very sad indeed.
Very, very sad indeed. Now, we're almost at the end of the second hour here, Nacy. As we move into hour number 3, is there any prophets, any other prophets off the top of your head that you want to take a look into as we move in after the break?
Well, I'd love to go back to the Bible and talk about Revelations.
Oh, the good one, the biggie, right?
And then I don't know, did you get any opportunity to look up Elizabeth Clare Prophet?
I didn't. I'll do that during the break though.
Yeah, because she had some very interesting things that I was trying to find my notes that I typed out earlier about some of the things that she...
Okay, so I'll pull this up right now. This is just the wiki for her, then we'll dive deeper. But Elizabeth Clare Prophet was an American spiritual leader, author, orator, and writer. In 1963, she married Mark L. Prophet after ending her first marriage, who had founded the Summit Lighthouse. Very enlightening, so they said. Boom, boom. I added that in there. In 1950. She kept us right on our way to Speculation Island. She made us avoid some rocks. Kevin, yes. All praise the lighthouse. Mark and Elizabeth had 4 children. And Elizabeth had her second husband, after her second husband's death, on February 26, 1973, she assumed control of the Summit Lighthouse. That makes it sound really nefarious, doesn't it, Kev? It's like a hostile takeover after the death of her beloved husband. It's a bit weird.
An unfortunate oops.
Yeah. Listen, one, okay, fool me once, but when you start piling up husbands in the graveyard, you know what I'm saying? In 1975, Prophet founded Church Universal and Triumphant, which became the umbrella organization for the movement, and which she expanded worldwide. She also founded Summit University and Summit University Press. And in the late 1980s, Prophet controversially called her members to prepare for the possibility of nuclear war at the turn of the decade, encouraging them to construct fallout shelters. In 1996, Prophet handed day-to-day operational control of her organization to a president and board of directors, as you do when you're a prophet. Wonder if Nostradamus had that problem. She maintained her role as a spiritual leader until her retirement due to health reasons in 1999. During the 1980s and 1990s, Prophet appeared on Larry King Live, Donahue, Wow, man, I remember watching old Donahue when I was a kid, man. Dang, dude. And Nightline, among other television programs. Earlier media appearances included a feature in 1977 in The Man Who Would Not Die, an episode of NBC's In Search Of series, which we also featured in 1994 on NBC's Ancient Prophecies. So what's your thoughts on her, Nacy? We've got 3 minutes before the break.
Well, you know, if you marry an individual whose last name is Prophet, then what other job do you entail? you're kind of limited to what you do for your money. But I'll give you a quick. I met Phil Donahue in 2000 with Ralph Nader, and I met him and I shared with him about
Uncle Phil, man. He's a ledge.
Yes. And I share with him my challenges about Gulf War illness and trying to get the general media to touch it. And I told him, I said, you should do a show on Gulf War illness. And he like looks at me and he goes, my show's been canceled for 2 years.
Ouch. Oh, zinger, man. You had Dr. Phil, and then you had that crazy cat, wasn't he, like the mayor of Chicago, Jerry Springer?
Oh, yes.
Remember Jerry, man? Yep.
Yes. Oh, my God.
That's like,
flashbacks.
see, that was like when we were just like, when we used to have 3 channels, BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV. And then Channel 4 came along, but up in Fort Augustus, where I came from, because there was big hills on either side the Great Glen, they couldn't get the signal in. But that was around the time I remember TV starting to go from, it used to finish around 11 o'clock midnight. They would have like reflections, it was called, and there'd be somebody reading like a bit of the Bible or saying a prayer. You think about that. I'm only thinking back to the 1980s, ladies and gents. I'm not talking about horse and carts and no running water and electricity and things like that. It's not that long ago. But I remember Jerry Springer, Donahue. We got that from America. You started to see the Neighbours, the Home and Away, the Australian kind of media coming in. And then TV started going all night, right? And it started like 24/7. You could get a channel that was running all night, even if it was just the news to begin with. And then over here we had like Sky came along, and then that's when it all went kind of like your networks in the US, or cable or whatever you want to call it, where it was like hundreds of channels, dude. Garbage upon garbage upon garbage, but there's always something to watch, and even if it's garbage, you're still sitting there flicking through it. It's almost like social media, right? You find yourself on social media nowadays scrolling, and you're even telling yourself, man, there's nothing here, but you're still scrolling. And that was like the channels back in the day, wasn't it? You'd flick through them twice and still nothing there, Nacy. You're still going a third time, oh, there'll be something on this time. Click, click, click. I tell you, man, we're so predictable.
Who in the television world was the one that prophesized the whole use of television to direct the narrative?
Indeed. And look at that. That's like a mic drop moment from the Nacy. Yes, indeed. 1 hour to go right here on your Freaky Friday. We'll get into more prophecy. We're going to get into some Revelations chapter 13 after the break by the command of Pearly Baker calling in from Dingwall. Revelations is coming. We will be back after these short messages. Don't go anywhere.
Censorship and regulation is...
Boom! Look at that, eh? We're doing good today, Nacy. I'm going to go and grab another beer. How does that sound?
Maybe grab 2 of them.
2? 1 for you, no problem, my friend, and then we'll crack open the brandy, right? Yeah, no, we won't, says Anne. No, we won't, says Anne. Oh, Anne has spoken, do. Oh, hang on now, hang on. Anne has spoken, no. Well, I'm going to grab a beer anyway. Yes, I'm going to run the gauntlet.
I think I'm going to roll over to my desk.
All yours, Nacy.
Fill up my shooter here. So you're all going to come with me as I traverse my dining room to my computer desk. Thank you all for being here with us this evening. Please like, share, subscribe. Do your best if you can to bring one or two other people to enjoy Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew. Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew. And thank you so much.
And you and you and what?
You are in a special, enjoyable mood this evening, my friend.
Tell me, man. David, a word with me. David, a word.
Oh no, what happened to my copy?
Oh no, I can't get my bottle open.
You can't find your what?
I can't get my bottle open.
Oh, bottle. Are you one of those men that can use the counter or the edge of your desk? Or are they all
These people are
twist tops
freaks.
there?
These people. Oh no, the people that bite them. Oh my god, these people are masochists.
That's a Scots.
Oh, there's a lot of them do
there.
it, dude. A lot of them do it. They like crunch them out. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, man.
What's your favorite beer that you like there, sir?
Probably my favorite beer would be probably Miller, actually. Miller. If you're in the UK, you'll know what Miller is. But if I was in the US, it would be Budweiser. Bud. I like Bud.
Yeah, I was a Bud. Well, actually, my favorite when I drank, I used to drink Leinenkugels with a lime.
Well, it was like a total novelty when we went to McDill. Oh, hang on, I need to check time. We're almost time to come back. But when we went to McDill, well, hang on, I'll tell you when we do come back because it's out of time. Here we go. Yes, indeed. I know all of you out there can woo in here with all of us on Freaky Friday. And I'll just keep on going. I'll just keep on going until it's hour number 3 right here on today's Freaky Friday. Yes, woo, and all of you. Naysay, I tell you what, dude. We got it. We beat it. We beat the music, man. We didn't get flagged for a content match. We're still here on YouTube. But of course, we're also going out on the home of Freaky Friday. It's where I am proud to call the home of Freaky Friday. It's Truth Frequency Radio. It's one of the few places online where you really can speak freely, where we say silence is consent, and where also we try, in fact, we strive to protect you from all of the deception that's going on out there. But on Friday, me and Nacy, we go full woo, and we ask you, can you handle the woo? Today we've been talking about prophecy, and we're about to go into Revelation 13. Why? Because old Mama Baker, or Mama Turnbull as she is now, she has asked me to go into Revelation 13 because that's her favourite. She likes a bit of doom, does old Pearly. She likes the black pill, Nacy. She does, brother. Oh, she does. She loves the black pill. It's always, Pearly's glass is always half empty. In fact, it's not half empty. There's a hole in it. It's springing a leak. It's always doom and gloom, dude.
Miss Pearly, if only you were 10 years older, ma'am.
You are one of her, in fact, you're one of her only favourites, Nacy. And I'm not just making that up. She has often said that she really loves it when you're on the Freaky Fridays. And in recent times, when we've come back to YouTube now, I know that's pleased her no end. Before we get back into the prophecy stuff, we were talking about beer and craziness during the break, right? I was about to share something with you, Nacy. Us British soldiers, we went mad when we arrived in MacDill Air Force Base because we realised that you guys over there, to your absolute brilliance, You sell pictures of beer, man. Dude, that's the last thing you want to be doing when you get a bunch of soldiers over from the UK is selling pictures of beer. These things are meant to be shared amongst groups, right? No, we got pictures each. We got one each. So, dude, I would like to say I've got lots of great memories from America, but most of them are clouded in an alcoholic haze. Very foggy.
My favorite drinking story in the military is when I had the luxury of going to Perth, Australia, and the rule was your first day into port you had to wear your uniform. And so me and my group of buddies, well, not mine, but the group of buddies I hung out with, we went to go check out things, and we found this kind of old dive bar in Perth, Australia. And we go in there, and I said, hey, I'll buy the first round. And they all sat at a table, and I walked up to the bar, and I'm sitting there waiting, and the bartender comes up, and I said, yeah, I'd like to get a round for me and my buddies. What do you got on tap? And all of a sudden, the guy next to me goes, your money ain't good here, Yank. And right away, I'm like, oh, no.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, what happened? And the next thing you know, I hear another guy's like, boy, the Yank a beer. And then we went into a pub that had a bunch of old veterans in it that remember when America came and helped with the invasion in World War II. And we helped discourage the invasion of Australia. And so for the next 5 hours, we
You helped us
proceeded.
stop speaking German, Kev. I would be bringing this broadcast to you in German tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
So yes, for the next 5 hours,
That is
us
good,
four,
yeah.
we got definitely a little bit drunk there.
I tell you, dude, the days we could reminisce. We should do a show one night just with our old drinking stories and the exploits we get up to or we got up to during our military time. But I digress, ladies and gentlemen. Let me put my serious head back on because we're talking about prophecy. And the Bible is somewhere that is filled to the brim with all that stuff. Now, old Pearly, I apologize for calling you old, but you are Pearly and you are old. So my mum said Revelation 13. That was it. That's all I got in a message. That doomy, gloomy black pill Pearly. So here we go. Revelation 13. I hope I do this justice. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as fast as the feet of the bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I behold another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake like a dragon. And he exerciseth all power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from the heavens on earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast that had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bound, to receive a mark in their right hand, in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is
666.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, Revelation 13. 666, Mr. Naysay, the number of the beast, or is it the number of man? It's a very, very controversial topic, my friend.
Well,
But we can't talk prophecy without throwing it out there.
well, I love the fact that carbon has 6 electrons,
So do I.
6 neutrons, and 6 protons.
6.
And
6. 6.
And if you look at barcodes, the barcodes are divided, the beginning and the last, and the middle number is 666, which was a revelations that I got that kind of blew me away, because I'm like, no way. And then if you look at the barcode and how they have the numbers corresponding at the bottom, the 3 that don't have numbers is the 2 ends and the middle one. But if you see a 6 in the barcode, you'll see how that particular number is represented by the bars. And you'll see that, I don't know if this is the same anymore because I haven't checked it since I've lost my sight. So you're talking about buying and selling, and you can't buy and sell unless you got the number. And then you find out that in barcodes, it has.
Dude, I must admit,
Yeah.
I'm with you with the first one you brought up. See the whole carbon thing? Like, I didn't do chemistry and that kind of stuff in school, right? But when I first heard it, I thought, can't be. Go check it out. And like, it is. It's like 666. Now, that to me, being somebody that leans towards the, albeit pseudoscience that I'm into, right? Because I'm not qualified at anything. I struggle to get away from that one, dude. It's like literally man is a carbon-based life form, and carbon could be identified as 666.
Yeah, absolutely. But then
Well, let
the
me
other
ask
thing
you this,
too-
Nacy. Let me ask you something else, and it's something I've often pondered, right? They talk about how we fell from that Garden of Eden. Now, I know there's probably good cases to be made for the Garden of Eden being either in Turkey or down just south of there in the Middle East, okay? But I also think sometimes that where we are right now, this physical plane, what's the major common denominator that we all have to go through? It's usually suffering, right? this place ain't it's no playground, it's no picnic. And I wonder sometimes, and you know, I look at people who are maybe less better off than I am, and I wonder how can this place be right unless we're already in hell. Because this place like ticks all the boxes for being hell for me the way it's set up right now, dude.
I
It
love
really
the
does.
creepy door in the background just when you
Well, that was
said
pretty
that.
cool, wasn't it? Like, Anne timed that perfectly, right? But do you know what I'm saying without being like, I don't want to be like just throwing it out there to be controversial, but it's like you look around how we treat each other here, how the world's kind of set up. There's something pretty hellish about it, right?
Well, this is where we were talking at the beginning of the show about manifesting our own destiny. You know, is that the choice that we want? Do we want life on this planet to be a living hell, or do we want it to be a heaven? So what are we willing, how far are we willing to go to create heaven here on earth? Because, you know, in the end, you know, if from the Christian aspect they're right and Jesus comes back to this planet, do you think he's going to be, hey, I really like what you did with the place? He's not going to be happy. He's going to get on his Apple iPhone G and he's going to be like, hey, Dad, God, take him out again.
Well, listen, I was saying to my mum not long ago over a game of Scrabble, because you know we love our Scrabble. I was saying when I evacuate this spacesuit, whenever it may be, I'm going to have a lot to say to the big man up there. Call him God, call him the programmer, the architect, creator, whatever it is. Because it's like he's got his feet up and he's taking time off, dude. You look back to the Bible and Sodom and Gomorrah, and he didn't used to take half the crap that we're going through right now, right? It was like floods and
Exactly.
things came along, and I'm not like advocating for an asteroid or things like that, but I'm just saying, whoever's in charge of the simulation, the latest update has not worked. It's been like a Windows update, okay, and we've all had to do the early adopter, and we're suffering major glitches down here, dude. Like major glitches, you know what I mean? Get fixed.
Here's the question. Here's a question for all of our YouTube friends and family out there. Metaphorically, should we as humans collectively have our pants pulled down and given the spanking of our life for what we've done?
I'm leaving a pregnant pause out there, dude. I was leaving a pregnant pause because that was quite profound a question. That deserved people to be sitting going, oh crap, is that me that he's meaning to answer that?
Right. Should Mother Nature pull our pants down and give us a spanking beyond all recognition? You know, because, you know, it's funny. I love Dick Gregory. I love listening to Dick Gregory, and he talks about...
Is that the remote viewing guy?
No, Dick Gregory is the American African descendant. He was a comedian, and then he did a lot of the
Dick somebody. It's obviously not the same dude. Not a remote viewer then. That's okay. That's okay.
But yeah, he, you know, his big thing is, you know how like all of these truthers or whatever you want to call them, you know, they all have their kind of one really odd thing. You know, David Icke is the reptilians, and Dick Gregory, he talks about Uncle Tom being a shapeshifter.
Ground
you know, so they all have their
Major Tom. All right, sorry, Uncle Tom.
Right. So Dick Gregory, he goes on about, you know, we get all upset because of these teenagers and their baggy pants, you know, and we're like, pull up your pants. Oh my God. But these teenagers with the baggy pants, they're not the ones that brought us to the state of affairs that we find ourselves in.
I find that humans are absolutely brilliant in the way that we're able to focus our attention on things that really matter, not two jots. Isn't it? How much time and attention that we take on things, like you say, that, like, come on, it's like it's not their fault anyway. Why are we having a go at them? I think people
Right.
do that so often. Did we get like bogged down in the minutia, and we focus our attention? We're really, we should all be able to focus on one common thing here. That is probably them against us, and there's not many of them, and there's plenty of us, right?
Yeah. I've asked my daughter time and time again, why have you not organized all of the people under 25 and then wipe out everybody over 40? You know, remember Logan's Run and Carousel? You know, once you turned 30, you had to go to Carousel and you would float up to the sky, and then you'd get to a certain point and poof, you're evaporated.
I would like that evaporation moment. Roundabout now, Nacy, roundabout now. We're moving into 7 hours on air for old KBS here right now. Tell you, dude, it's been...
Oh, I'm gonna come back again and again.
No, listen, dude,
and
we're gonna
again
shift
and
gears,
again.
dude. I've got the perfect way, right, to round out our number 2, and then we've still got 1 hour to go here on Freaky Friday, and then it doesn't end there. We don't roll like that here on TFR. No, no, no. We've got Brent Thomas and Don Longbeard. They'll be up right after we finish, and they'll take you through the paranormal portal. See? We done it that time without making it creepy at all, but to take us up to the break, let's go for a really, really hot button topic when it comes to the rabbit holes that people like me and Nacy and all of you listening right now go down. Because if you're listening right down, you're kind of geared to going down the conspiratorial rabbit holes that me and Nacy have been kicking about in for years. Me and Nacy have mapped half of these tunnel complexes out. A lot of them go nowhere, but some of them don't go away. And one of them, if we're talking about prophecy, definitely comes to mind. What is it, I hear you all asking? Well, that prophecy comes to us from something called the Georgia Guidestones. Now, Nacy, before I bring up the 10 Commandments according to the Guidestones, it wouldn't be a prophecy show, right? From a show like what us two putting together if we didn't go and talk about the Guidestones, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we could easily do probably a whole Freaky Friday on the Guidestones themselves.
Who's your take
'Cause
on who
there's-
put them together? I've heard it's that Ted Turner dude. That's what I've heard. I don't know.
I do not know. I
Same
do
here.
not know, but it is so incredibly interesting on so many different levels,
Isn't it?
you
Isn't
know,
it?
because they've gone out there with technical instruments, and they've noticed how the alignment is, and then there's holes in some of them
Yep,
that
yep.
allegedly line up with sunrises and sunsets and new moons.
It's like
And
everything you would want to find at like some kind of ancient earthwork. Only this ain't ancient. It's the Georgia Guidestones, and let's go through the 10 Commandments, as I like to call them. According to, well, let's call them what they are.
The Illuminati.
Yes, indeed. So if we come over here, it says here, according to the Georgia Guidestones, ladies and gentlemen, number 1, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
maintain. Sorry.
Number 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Number 3, unite humanity with a living new language. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you text, speak, and the emojis. Number 4, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Number 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Number 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. Just use the AI. Number 8, balance personal rights with social duties. Number 9, prize
duties.
truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. And number 10, last but not least, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. And so saideth the commandments of the Guidestones. Yes, indeed.
Oh.
Exactly. Exactly, dude. What do you reckon, man?
So if you were given the opportunity to put in the 11th Guidestone, what would you have it say?
Abolish all previous 10 rules of this. And tune into KBS Monday to Thursday, Freaky Friday, and TFR Live. No, not like that one.
That's a lot better than one year for Halloween. I went as Moses, and on it I made some weird writing on it, and it was the 11th commandment. And on the front of it, it looked like, weird writing. And then when you flipped it over on the other side, it said, smoke more PPP. And so it was a delightful Halloween, because that's what my 11th Guidestone would be. Abundantly share your PPP with everyone.
Ah, yes. The papa. Indeed. So Naysay. Naysay.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. It's the signaler within me, man. Papa. It's like pee, right? Piano. Now we're singing again. Where did we get to? What were we talking about, man? Georgia Guidestones. That was
Guidestones.
Yes.
Guide who stoned?
Right, one of those things. Absolutely. So, do we think that we should? What do you think, dude? I mean, is it just like one of those things? Yeah, cool, interesting, or is it something we should really pay attention to because it's a lot more significant to those that are in the know? What do you think, man?
Well, it's scary as we're on the precipice of our first trillionaire. And it's almost like a James Bond super duper villain, where all of a sudden, right after he gets that cha-ching $1 trillion, and he's all like, well, yeah, I brought those Guidestones to bring.
Or now Naysay, we need to join together because old Pearlie's, she's going to bed. So a good night to Mama Baker, old Pearlie Turnbull, yes. With that said, we've got one more segment to go. Right here on Your Freaky Friday. Can you handle the woo? We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Love you, Pearlie.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Mother. We love you, he says in front of his Bates Motel road sign here. That's what my background is, Nacy. I've got the Bates Motel in the background, and my pseudo sister-in-law Julie earlier on messaged Anne, right? I'm not even making this up, but she said to Anne, how do you guys get the Bates Motel sign in the living room? She really did. She thought like I had a Bates Motel sign in the hotel. Hey, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. So she's saying nighty-night, Nacy.
Oh.
My God, she's my mother, man. Come on, dude. Come on, man. At least wait till I'm like doing my own show or something. Come on, man.
Well, you'll never have to call me father, okay?
There's nothing quite as creepy as like acting as the like go-between between a co-host on your show, a friend, a man you think you respected, and your own mother. What's that all about? That's a little
I'm gonna
bit
have
creepy.
I'm gonna have to sing her a Prince song and send you an
good
MP3
Lord,
of it.
man. We're not starting to sing songs over the airways doing you know.
Well,
Little
it's only
bear
because
with plugs.
I am so thankful, Pearl, if you're still listening, because without you, Kev, coming through your mother, I would not be able to have this delight in my darkness.
Again, that
of
sounded a
sharing.
whole lot creepier than you probably intended it as well.
Well, I love you, brother. I hope you know
You
this.
too, big man.
and
You too.
it's been such an honor. It's been a blast, and it's just enjoyable. So thank you, and I have to say thank you to Chris and Cherie too, because if it wasn't for them, then this wouldn't be happening. So with that being said,
Oh, she heard
share,
you. She's loving it. She
subscribe.
messaged me. She's like, I'm here. I can picture the dopamine going off in her right now, Kev. She'll be sitting there with a goofy smile on her face. Oh, man.
Right.
Man.
But before that little deflection, please like, share, subscribe. You can donate. You get 1 week to listen to the current KBS shows, and then you have to become a membership. So please become a membership.
The memberships are on the other channel, folks. They're on
Right.
KBS2, you see, Nacy. I take you on to the big KBS for Freaky Friday, dude. It's like special around here, man. Special.
Where I do my best to behave.
Dude, if I didn't think you could behave, you would not be here. You know that, man. You know that. So listen, Kev, is it time to go back yet?
Right. And before we go back real quick, I will be on Discord, within 15 minutes after the show
I'll
tonight.
be there too, maybe. Here we
So-
go. Here we go.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
Let's just keep talking, and people might not realize that yet again Kev Baker went back to the show early. Dang,
Right.
dude. Where do you want to go, dude? We've got one segment to go, man.
You're the best at leading this dance.
Dude, that means I've got to fly naked, man. Nobody wants me naked. Nobody. I've had plenty of requests of me in the kilt, but none naked. None. Nobody needs that.
Well, I'll get naked as soon as you do. So
There you go. There you go. That's something
who
the internet
knows?
isn't
Maybe
ready
I'm
for yet.
naked right now.
How do you know that? What disturbs me is there's probably multiple people that are naked right now listening to this. I just
Right,
thought I didn't need
and-
to have. So here we go. That's a bit long enough now. Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment of Freaky Friday, right here on Truth Frequency Radio, where we give you protection from deception. Shut it, you. And where silence is consent. What happened there, dude? It's like Kevin and Dave had a collision. They were both going for it, and nothing happened. One more segment to go. And I'm drunk on live streaming. This is like hour number 7 tonight, dude. What the hell is going on here, man? But we've had a great day. I was on talking about the UFO report that turned out to be exactly what I promised you it would be. Much to do about nothing. But then we shifted gears and we got into the weird and wacky and wonderful world of prophecy. We've talked about Revelation 13. We've talked about the Georgia Guidestones before the break there. Nostradamus came into the equation. Ezekiel. I talked about the Brahan Seer, the Scottish prophet with a second sight when we opened the show. And Nacy. One segment to go before we hand over the chalice of woo to the man with the lube. Brent Thomas on the Paranormal Portal. Where do you want to navigate this this journey we're having today together, my friend?
Well, my first question I would have, do you have any prophetic visions that you feel shall come to pass?
It's a really good question. I'm somebody that struggles to discern the difference between genuine foresight and imagination. How does one tell when you're imagining something as opposed to downloading or tapping into something? I've always thought from a very early age that I would see World War III in my time. You could put that down to programming and movies. And I'm talking about before I joined the army. More so after I joined the army, inevitably. And right now, I still think within my time here on this plane, in this physical spacesuit I call a vehicle of a body, I do think we'll see that World War III. Now, is that prophetic? No, it's just an opinion, just a feeling I've always had. I would like to think that it will never come to pass because nobody wants to end up in that situation. So, have I ever had a prophetic type vision? I wouldn't say yes to that, but I've always had an inclination that that's a future that feels familiar to me, if I want to say it that way, Nacy.
Well, there was one time when I was very young and I was sitting inside the hood of my stepfather's vehicle and he was changing the oil. And this was back when cars from the grill to the radiator had about a good foot of open space where you would have your toolkit and your necessary things for working on the vehicle. And this is also back when they had the old style of oil cans where it literally looked like a can and you had a spout that you had to plunge into the can in order to pour the oil into your car. So I'm sitting in there and I'm drinking a soda pop. And as I'm taking a drink, my stepfather is plunging the spout into the can and he pinches his skin and he swears and throws out a bunch of profanity. And then I finished my drink and I said, Terry, why don't they make them like a bottle to where you just unscrew the top and then pour it in to the header? And he looked at me and he goes, these cans have been like this when I was a kid and when my father was a kid, and they're going to be like this when you have kids. And sure enough, I don't know, 4 or 5 months later, I go to the local gas station because we would go there and go get snacks because it was only like a block away. And I roll in there, go and grab some candy. And as I'm walking up to the cash register, there's a brand new stand for mobile, I think it was. And here were these square style bottles filled with oil to where you just unscrew the cap and you pour it into your car. And I'm like, this is my idea. You know, this is what I thought of. You know, so is that a prophecy? Is that, you know, am I a prophet? Are we able to somehow find ourselves in a collective ethos of all of this information that ever was, that ever is, and shall ever be? Can we tap into that source and pull it out and bring it into fruition? I do believe, I do think, I do feel we have that ability. However, are we able to be so critically honest with ourselves to do such a thing, to accomplish such a thing, that is absolutely up to you, and whether or not you are willing to go through the exercises, to go through the motions, to tap into that ethos. Because there's been a couple times where I have had pizza toppings, preferably with the cap and stem type, where I felt I've tapped into something, so it's possible, it's plausible, and I'm begging of universe, please help me find those answers of tomorrow. Because not only do I have children, Kev has children, many people I know have children, and this is their future we're talking about. And are we going to continue to just roll the dice and allow this direction that we're heading to continue on? Or are we going to do what is necessary to make this a better place for all of us to exist on? Because in the event that there is that extraterrestrial entity that is arguing tooth and nail because we taste like chicken, that they're just waiting for the opportunity to come and get a big bucket of chicken. Mic drop.
Now you're making me hungry, dude. It's like 2:40 a.m. over here in the UK. I've got more hope of winning the lottery right now than getting myself any chicken anywhere, dude. And I want chicken.
No extracurricular carnivorous activity.
No, I'm gonna have to go and start cooking after the show. That's what I'm gonna have to start doing. Dang, dude, I blame you, man. I mean, I've got chocolate here. I was stuffing my face with chocolate there, but then you start talking about the chicken. The chicken, man.
I have a nice cold salad waiting for me after the show.
Oh, nice.
And I have some bison jerky that I've been thinking about all day.
You've been jerking bison. Different show.
I can't confirm or deny I've made a few bison happy in my lifetime.
Damn, dude. And people talk about Scotsmen with sheep. Little did they know. Eh?
Well, you can only imagine how much a bison has to love you to let you love them.
So listen, on a totally different note than bison love. How you feeling now that you're back in the land of the eating, dude? Now that all the fasting's out the way and you're back to like eating stuff and feeling healthy, how's it feel, dude?
I feel so guilty because I am a hypocrite, because I had my daughter's graduation celebration this last weekend, plus I had my birth recognition date on Tuesday.
Happy birthday.
So
well done on another complete lap of our local star, my friend.
54 winters I've survived now. And I'm starting to feel a little old.
54 winters ago, and I remember.
And so, unfortunately, I have went straight for good tasting food compared to whether or not it's good for me. So I set aside a bunch of good fixings for this next week to get back on track of eating healthy.
I'm scoffing on chocolate right now, man. It's lovely.
Is it dark chocolate?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, entities of the world, please look up dark chocolate Himalayan salt hemp seeds. They're little balls. They have a great taste to them. They kind of make a nice crunch. And to sprinkle them on top of vanilla ice cream, OMG.
Get yourself some haggis, ladies and gentlemen. Haggis. They got to the sheep. Full of eyeballs and innards and all lovely jubbly, man. Haggis, ladies and gents. Haggis.
when we get together, Kev, whether it be there on your side of the pond or my side, I'm gonna have to try some haggis with you. I'll try it.
Scotty Lopez says, how you hanging in there, man? It's like 8 hours you've been going. I'm like, man, this is fun. It's good. Yep. This is the longest I've ever streamed in one day, I think, dude.
A streamathon by Kev Baker.
It's been like a full shift I've been at the helm. Yep.
There's my prophecy. My prophecy is within the next 6 months, Kev Baker is going to go
IRL 24/7, man. You'll get to see me snoring and farting.
11 hours. 11 hours.
11
for
hours?
Kevin. Yep, Kevin, 11.
Yeah, I can probably manage that. Probably.
Oh, absolutely.
Listen,
with one hand
Hey,
tied
hang on
behind
a
your
minute,
back.
dude. Hang on a minute. Are we not prophets anyway? Did we not predict that today's UFO report would be a whole heap of nothing? Doesn't that make us prophets?
Yes, we did. We did talk about that. It was going to be a bunch of lip service and weather balloons. Whether or not it's the truth, that's another question.
Can you believe they went for the full weather balloon thing again, dude?
Well, I identify as a
EM weather
animal
balloon. Well done, dude. Well done.
As an animal balloon, preferably an
What are your
elephant.
pronouns? Listen, we live in a world where that matters now.
Well, I guess as long as I can be a purple elephant balloon, then I think I'll be happy.
Since there's only 12 minutes left, I can live with that for now. That's my 12 minutes of rainbow for the day.
Let's see, was the epic poem of the Red Dragon. Have you heard
Just thinking
of
of the Red Dragon family, dude. The ambassador.
I was going through my Rolodex in my head about some other prophets.
Well,
but I believe,
tell us the prophecy of the Red Dragon.
Well, it reminds me of Revelations, because in Revelations they talk about the dragon coming down and attacking the mountain. And I think I've shared this metaphor before, that if you think about a comet or an asteroid, as it's coming towards the Earth, you will see how on the full spectrum of it, from one side to the other, you're going to see a glare from the sun, which is going to give it the appearance of wings, and then you'll see a debris tail coming from it, so you have your imaging of the tail, and if it gets close enough to the moon or the Earth, it will create static discharge, which will look like lightning or a fire-breathing dragon. So if exactly, if smog comes back, or if the 10th planet or wormwood, blue kachina, red dragon.
Well, that's what I was asking just yesterday, Nacy. This planetoid that's coming in. All laughing and joking aside, though, I mean, we hear about the prophecy of the blue kachina, red kachina stuff. We've heard all of this. I mean, could this in any way fit that? This massive object, some call it a planet, some say it's a comet. Time will tell if it's got a tail coming off it. But could this account for it? Now, in the picture I'm showing online, it shows it as green, but that's Comet Wise or Neowise from last year. And so don't take that as any indication, folks. But could this fulfill that?
Well, Zachariah Stitchin, when he talks about the Anunnaki, coming back and the potential that,
Oh, we've got a quick super coming in.
Moron donated $5 through Super Chat. Great lurk, gents. Much love, chat.
I've got
what we need is more PPP. Or is it cowbell, victory hand,
Yeah.
cool face?
I've got one more to play here from Julian. Thank you, Julian, from Lessons for Life. He's going to be coming on to talk about the eschaton soon. These same topics. Here we go.
Lessons for Life donated £5 through Super Chat. Great topic, guys. Kev, whenever you're ready, I'd love to talk about end-time prophecies on your show.
Oh, yes, indeed. So we'll get Julian on, probably live from the car again. That was awesome last time. Julian teaches religious studies down in London, I believe. So he'll be definitely coming back on the show soon. Naysay, we've got a very special guest watching right now as well. We've got the one, the only, the missing amigo. Scotty Lopez is in the chat room. He's hanging out. He messaged me over on Facebook there. I think we've got another post showing some of the damage in his area, maybe. I've already showed that one, yes. The gargantuan tree that's fallen down somewhere. I did have it somewhere. I'll put it back up.
Well, if it's an oak tree, Scotty, I'd love to get a branch so I can make a new magic wand.
There you go. Yeah, some of the... Is it not the Hollywood for the magic wand?
Yeah, but that's only for like cheap parlor tricks. I like going for the oak and doing some real prestidigitation.
So Nacy, 8 minutes left, dude. 8 minutes left of what's been an absolutely brilliant freaky. I did wonder, with it just been the two of us, it's never the same without the three amigos. Never is. So Scott, you've been sorely missed, but at the same time, I think we've done pretty well on the topic of prophets and prophecy. And on top of the gargantuan 4-hour nothing burger stream that I done earlier about the old UFO report, I tell you, it's been a great day. It's been a great day, dude. I hope you've had fun. I'm going to let you leave the audience with some naysay wisdom, brother. Over to you. I think after 8 hours, people have heard enough from me. So over to you.
For 8 minutes, you want me to babble on and babble on?
No, just for a couple of minutes till I eat more chocolate and then we're good.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad that the Scotties survived. Part of me was secretly wishing that he would be sharing the story about his house being lifted up and landing on a precarious witch of the southeast nature and getting a new pair of high heel ruby slippers. But what he would do with them, I don't know. I'm sorry, Scotty.
It's been that kind of night, Scott. It's been that kind of night.
But to get some ruby wheels on his new chair and following the yellow brick road and going on that adventure. So I was hoping he wasn't going to be in Kansas anymore, and finding that Oz, the great and powerful Oz, but he is definitely missed as always, and hopefully he'll be back with us next Friday.
He will be. We're both cracking the whip, ain't we, Nacy? We insist he's back here for next Friday. No excuses with the dog at your homework or there's storms in the area. No, we're not having any of that, right?
Well, I would be very humbled to teach him a rain dance, because I think the two of us could make some beautiful music together, and I would let him lead.
I like it. Now we've got another super chat coming in here, ladies and gents. And don't forget, before I play this, coming up after today's show, it doesn't end here. I'd love for everyone to make their way over and listen to the Paranormal Portal, either right here on the home of Freaky Friday and the Paranormal Portal on tfrlive.com or over on YouTube, because Brent's got his YouTube channel as well. So this comes in from Cassie over here in Scotland, a fellow Scotswoman. There we go.
Cassie Barkley donated £5 through Super Chat. Hashtag women won't weesht left pics in Discord for you, Kev, we looked so spooky lol.
So there's pictures in Discord of spooky women. There's an offer you don't get every day of the week, ladies and gentlemen.
Could I placate to my ego?
You could.
So, as people may know, I did a ride in my wheelchair last fall, and we had it videotaped, and we had a person working on a documentary for it. We are at the point of where it is almost complete, but we are trying to raise some money so we can find somebody who can help us make some graphics. We have some little pieces of graphics we want to add to it, and then knock on wood, by September we're going to be coming out with the documentary.
Oh,
So if
you'll
I
need to
could-
speak to the KBS editing department, Nancy. KBS graphics department is open for business.
Yeah, I was thinking about reaching out to ZX about that.
Listen, I am all for ZX, but the KBS graphics department is open. I'm only joking, dude. I'm joking.
Well, I know, but you're busy with what you do, and
Yes.
I, you know,
A
but
bajillion
if-
shows a day, 8 hours live streaming. I
Right.
tell you, all mounts up.
So if I could ask people if they can go to Rolling, the number 4 US on YouTube, Rolling ROLLING, the number 4 US. There's a little short video that kind of surmises the whole documentary, and if you could assist me, I would greatly appreciate it. So sorry for that ego interruption there.
You love the dopamine, Nancy. Admit it.
Giving it,
You do.
I love giving it.
You do, man. You do.
I love giving it more than receiving it.
No,
I've
no,
made
no, 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 no. I'm not buying any of that. I'm not buying it, Nancy.
Well, I mean, our dopamine sharing, Kev. I mean, yes, there's an addiction that I'll share.
Don't tell on air. Don't tell anyone about it on air. Shh, I told you that before, Nancy. That's for Pornhub.
But I do like the expression, saving the universe one giggle at a time.
Absolutely, ladies and gents. And listen, me and Nancy, we've got more questions than answers, and we've been doing this a very long time. In fact, if you added the years of research together that me and Nancy have put in, it's probably been older and longer than anyone in the chat room has been on this planet. And yet, the longer we look at this stuff, the more questions we get. But we don't let that deter us. We don't let that put us down. In fact, no. We turn all that upside down and we let it reinvigorate us. And it encourages us to go deeper and more further into the journey, into the unknown. And the one thing I can guarantee you out of all of this is that when we do get to the end of our journeys, we will have more questions than answers. And if that's the case, you know what? Give yourself a pat in the back, because it means you're doing it right. You're keeping an open mind. You're not forming any solid idea of what's going on in this simulation, this reality, this hologram, whatever it is. Nobody knows, just the same as nobody knows the hour of when the world will end. And it's not just because the Bible says that, it's just that nobody knows that. So anyone that's telling you they do know, whether it's the end of the world or they know when it comes to any topic, keep an open mind, okay? Keep an open mind, but not to the point where your brain turns to that black mushy goo stuff and falls out, because you don't need that, Nancy, right?
Absolutely. I prophesize that you shall return next Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew.
We are out of here. Brent Thomas coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Jeanette, teach it, Dave.
Anything not to get done by Content ID. Nancy, it's been a blast, man.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
just yes. Exactly. So listen, folks, on that thought, let me remind you of one thing. No, multiple things.
Genetically modified.
Jiggity.
Oh no, he went away. That means we'll have to do it again. Oh well.
Genetically modified.
I love how he craps himself right at the very end of that. But if that wasn't enough for you,
Come on, man. Come on, man.
come on,
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. Are you serious?
How dare you?
Exactly. So a big thank you
So-
to. On you go, Nacy.
Today when I was telling you that somebody got escorted by the police out of the meeting, the gentleman said, "Why are you arresting me?" And the chief of police said, "You fingered me with 2 fingers."
Oh, and no lube.
Right? And then the guy who got arrested, within an hour, he cut that little sound clip. And so it's a picture of the chief of police saying, "You fingered me with 2 fingers."
And no lube. Oh, you got to add in no lube at the end of it, dude. You have to. Listen, folks,
Right.
today has been awesome. Whether you've been here for the full 8 hours, maybe it's just Freaky Friday, I don't know. But I've had an absolute blast today. You lot out there have been brilliant as well. Nacy has been off the charts. He always is. And until next time, keep it real, and wherever you are, make it TFR, and keep your eyes open on KBS2 tomorrow, because I think we might go for another 4-hour live dive.
Wow, wow, wow.
Freaky Friday.
With the Woo Crew.
And Gil and Dave on the wah-wah pedal.
And Scotty, too.
Come on, man.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. Are you serious?
How dare you?
And the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat.
Sarcophagi.
Wow, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Nacy on the bass.
Bow, ba, bow. Bow, ba, bow, ba, bow.
Wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Meow, 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 meow.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water.
The frogs are gay. The frogs are gay.
Genetically modified.
Wow, wow, wow,
Excuse me.
wow, wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Nacy, are you there, Nacy?
Not at all.
We're out.